I've always been of the impression that people feel an inadequacy or something in their own personal life or self, so they feel like they have this really nice, souped-up car. It'll give them more value or make them more attractive to women or whoever.
Oh my god.
Stop this!
Welcome back to the situation. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Pseudo Snort report, you know, yada yada yada. Still working, still kind of working. I got a couple of new names in the process, at least to make up for the pseudo Snort report. The Snort report will stay the way it is, but I'll come up with something. Like I'll figure out something like the SnortBucks Weekly or something like that. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with one video that'll essentially make up our broadcast, brought to us by Hate Army Watch. DSP is not having a midlife crisis, won't pass on his genes, and has 80,000 videos. This is from March 27th of 2022. The link will be down in the description. Oh boy, where to start? I think DSP has been in a perpetual life crisis, to be honest, his entire life. I think he has identity issues. I think his lack of confidence is one of the things that fuels his false bravado, which has gotten him in trouble on multiple fronts, not only in the internet or on the internet, but in real life. I think that DSP at his core has only gotten worse with age. Only because he has no direction. He has his idea of how life is, and then there's reality. And reality's scary because reality's uncertain. He doesn't have a whole lot of control in reality. You only have, like, you can't control everything, right? You know, you could go outside and sadly be in a car accident or whatever the case may be, and that's the end of it. You can't control that. And I think it's things like that that scares DSP. I think the fact that he doesn't, in a lot of ways, how you can't necessarily control your death. He has that same type of perception about life in general. He can't control all the good things and bad things that come his way, and he can't deal with it. And that's one of the major things about DSP, is he doesn't deal with things well. He doesn't deal with change well. He lacks flexibility as well as versatility. He is mentally stunted in a lot of ways, to be honest with you, which leads to the incompetence that you guys see on a regular basis. And it's not even coping anymore. if you will. It's cope, but it's not really coping. It's just, it's the only way. It's the only way to keep it together. What little fragile ego and his little glass house that he has is the only way to keep it together. If he doesn't have people to shit on him, and if he doesn't have people to shit on, his life is basically worthless. And I promise you that. So he can continue to cry about the detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, but he needs them. He needs people to shit on him, and by proxy, he needs to shit on what he feels are lesser people. So let's reword this. Let's put it another way. The detractors, trolls, haters, and critics shit on DSP because of the dumb shit that he does. Over time, it has gotten a lot more personal because he's made it personal. But point being is that these people shit on him. DSP believes that these people are better than he is, right? So he needs to continue to fall into his underdog type status and continue to fight against that. On the other hand, the people in his fan base are peons. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. It is what it is. They're peons to him. So he needs to shit on them because it's the only thing that keeps him propped up. Because DSP has never been man enough to stand on his own too. He's always needed something or someone to prop him up. And this is no different. And this is the perpetual dark side Phil cycle. If the detractors, if people left him alone, like really left him alone, what does he have? You have no opposition. You have no adversaries. You don't have anything. Now he's left to his own devices. So what's he going to do? Shit on other content creators? He's already done that. All he's going to do is give birth to a whole new group of detractors doing that. And they could be much worse than what he has now. And I think he realizes that. I think after the fall of SOK, I think he came to the realization that I may have dodged a bullet and whatnot, and maybe I should not squander what blessed snorts that I still have. But then again, when he got Tevin deplatformed from Twitch, as well as those other two fellas, and then Tevin came over here and started his campaign, a real campaign. Because up to that point, Tevin just liked jumping in, saying what he had to say, and just being out. But once DSP made it personal and started to actually do something that could actually affect what Tevin was trying to do, and Tevin went ahead and retaliated and waged his campaign on YouTube, that right there led into all the restreamers and everything else that you see now, in a lot of ways. So, I think DSP doesn't want to try to rock that boat anymore. Granted, foresight, he should have had the foresight to see that, because I think anybody would, to be honest with you. But DSP is a reactionary type of individual. He needs something bad to happen for him to learn. But he really doesn't learn. He just stops doing it. Or he tries to find another way of doing it. But DSP is not cunning, right? Or if it is cunning, it's very low cunning. It's very lazy. And it's very, it eventually becomes ineffective. But that's neither here nor there. Not passing on his genes, DSP doesn't need to have kids. He is too selfish. He's too self-absorbed. He's too greedy. He doesn't need anything or anybody that would take away immediate attention from him. Let me give you an example. If DSP and Catherine have a child, the world doesn't revolve around DSP anymore. It revolves around that child. That right there is point blank, basically. The child would have all of Catherine's attention. The child would have all of Darkside Phil's family's attention, or Phil's parents, Mama and Papa Brunel. The child would hold all of that attention. And in some ways, if not in a lot of ways, the chat, the DSP's community, for whatever that's worth, the cult, if you will, they would have the baby's attention. Because these are people who don't think they're going to be parents. If you talk about Phil's audience or whatever, these are people who don't think they're going to be parents. They don't think, they're not going to probably pass their genes on either, if they will. So, or they already have or they're already parents, and some of them are failed parents, whatever you want to call that. So they live a lot of people in DSP's audience live vicariously through him. The child becomes the center of attention, and DSP can't have that. He's not mentally stable enough for that. He's not emotionally stable. He's not someone who can put someone else before himself. He doesn't look at children as a part of yourself, right? Which is a long-term investment, right? And you see this child go through all of their stages, and you can guide that child on in your upbringing, right? And hopefully they don't inherit any of your flaws. You can deter them away from certain things that you have made mistakes on, and hopefully, I think this is something that all parents wish for. They will be more successful at anything and everything that they've done. DSP can't accept that. He can't accept the success of people that he doesn't even know. How would he be able to accept the success of his own child that he sees every day? Honestly, how would he be able to handle that? He can't. He won't. As time would go on, he would only grow to resent that child. He would only grow up to resent it. That's the reason why he doesn't want to have kids. He doesn't want to have something, or somebody that he has to actually take care of. Because if you don't, there's going to have real consequences. And he doesn't want to be upstaged, if you will, for the lack of a better term, by that same child. He can't accept the fact that that child could be smarter, could be more charismatic, could be more caring, could be more likable, could be more driven, could be more motivated, could be more successful. And there's a flip side to that. DSP being the piece of shit that he is, what if that child isn't successful? What if that child turns out to be just as lazy as he is, if not worse? Now he has to sit there and look at his own shame day in, day out. See, DSP doesn't have to, when DSP looks in the mirror, for example, he can see what he wants to see. He knows what's there, but he can essentially see what he wants to see. But if your child is starting to show those same type of tendencies and you don't know how to do anything about that, and you're scared to reach out to anybody else because you don't want other people finding out and embarrassing you further, now it's become a burden. And it's a burden you have to deal with. And he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to sit there and watch this child essentially follow in his hoof steps, if you will, and watch this child perpetually fail like he has, if not worse. Because then he has to accept that he's failed. He has to. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the major reasons why DSP doesn't want to have kids. And to be honest, he'd be a shitty parent anyway, so nothing's lost there. But since we're talking about legacy, if you will, we get on to our third part where he has 80,000 videos. That's an obscene amount of digital trash. Sorry, that's an obscene amount of trash to be anywhere, whether in life in general or on the internet. That is obscene. How does it feel? And someone should ask Darkside Phil this. How does it feel to have 10 times more content or more videos online than most successful, actually successful YouTubers, and didn't get even 10% of the actual success that they had? When you look at Darkside Phil and you look at the amount of money that he's made over his period of time on the internet, which is over $2 million, which is something to be, there's something to be said about that. If you look at YouTube in the wider scope, there are much more successful YouTubers than DSP who did it that took less time to do it, that took more effort to do it, and made way more money that they're still holding on to. They own shit. They have assets, right? They have money in the bank. They have investments. They're using that money to help raise their children or to start businesses, real businesses, not the bullshit that DSP tries to perpetuate. Things like that. What does DSP have? He has 2 channels, which is the only thing. Let's be honest. He has 2 channels that mean everything to him because it's all he has. A defunct Twitch channel that he can't make any money on, and then DSP Gaming. And nothing else. King of Hate Vlogs, which isn't even called that anymore. It's called DSP Archives or some bullshit. Or some kind of lame-ass name. And then he has KO Gaming. And those are really just backups just in case, well, not even just in case, when the eventuality comes about that DSP Gaming falls. That's it. He doesn't own anything. If YouTube shuts down tomorrow, for example, what's he gonna do? He has a bunch of hard drives, quote unquote, that he updates, he downloads or backs up all his videos on, but he don't label them. So who knows if he'd ever even be able to retrieve what's there and what isn't, because he's kind of inept, to be honest with you. And then all of his older stuff, his real legacy, is gone. It's on a bunch of old hard drives who God knows how many times he's knocked them over. God knows has he ever actually gone in there and actually checked to see if they're still functional. Has any of the files been corrupted or anything like that? His legacy is essentially shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, his true legacy will only be what the detractors are holding on to, and whatever other sites that they uploaded on. That's it. So his 80,000 videos don't even mean shit. But even then, imagine that. 80,000 videos. That's obscene. That is obscene. If you really think about it. That's a ridiculous amount of anything. And the irony of it all is he has nothing to show for it. It's an inconsequential number. It means nothing in the end. It's truly sad. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video. Should be fun. And we'll cut the bacon as it shows up, because Jesus Christ. Hope you guys are doing well, and see you guys in a minute. Yikes.
But in general, I want to talk about I want to talk about my upcoming birthday celebration. Now, I'm surprised no one said anything about this. Just no one mentioned it.
Wow. Maybe because they were embarrassed for you, possibly. And it's kind of silly that you have a grown man who wants to talk about celebrating his birthday for a week. But then the ass clown didn't even remember his own anniversary, which is, it's a thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Hate Army Watch. DSP's not having a midlife crisis, won't pass on his genes, and has 80,000 videos. This is from March 27th of 2022. The link will be down in the description. Oh, wow. Who wants to celebrate their birthday for an entire week? Oh, that's so sad. A birthday celebration for a week. Holy shit. You got no one. And the thing is, though, too, right? Honestly, and then we'll get into it. He's overcompensating because he has no one in his life. That's the sad part. That is, all jokes aside, that's truly the sad part of that. He has no one to share it with. Not one. He doesn't have not a fucking person in this world, essentially, who gives a shit enough about him, or that he gives a shit enough about, I should say, that can make him feel whole. Right? On the one day that he should feel important, which is his birthday. So he has to celebrate it for an entire week. He has to spread that shit out. And essentially force other people who barely know him to care about him and show how much they care about him and show their appreciation for him being born for an entire week. It's like this idiot's like Gouty Jesus or something. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, my 40th. That's right, 40. My 40th birthday is coming up. All right, within a week and a half. And typically, for my birthday, I do something special. I usually have some decorations. I usually have some kind of a special event planned. This year's no different. In fact, this year you would think it should be even bigger because it's actually a milestone birthday for me. 40 years old, in American culture at least, is considered the year that they make jokes and they say that you're over the hill. Essentially, when you hit 40 years old, a lot of people feel that you're in the middle of your life or you're over the middle of your life. Like you've lived more than you still have left to live. Okay? And so that being said, they say, oh, it's all downhill from here. Get it? You're climbing a hill. 40's the hill. Now you go downhill as you go approach the second half of your life. For a lot of people, this whole idea of over the hill 40 is actually a bad thing, because they're like, oh, it's like a midlife crisis. You're in the middle of your life and you reassess everything around you and what you're doing with your life. And a lot of people end up feeling...
And he, of all people, should actually do that. The thing is, though, if he actually, got out and talked to people, he would know this. There are plenty of people at 40 who start over. People who get remarried, people who go back to school, people who switch careers, people who actually go after a dream job or career, or whatever the case may, or a dream project, if you will, that they've been putting off maybe in their, late 20s and probably even throughout their 30s, and they decide to actually do it then. There are very few people in this day and age who look at 40 as, oh, it's all, it's pretty much the end now. The clock is ticking, if you will. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. In internet culture, to some degree, maybe, but it's kind of a gloom. Internet culture, to some degree, depending on, I guess, where you're at, is kind of hopeless, I guess. It's kind of like a hopeless situation for certain people, for some people, I guess, which is kind of sad, to be honest. It's a shame, certainly, but when you look at someone like DSP, when you look at someone like Wings, when you look at something like Low Tier God, these are all people who, once they hit, well, Wings has still got some time. I think Dale still has a little bit of time. When they hit 40, I wouldn't be surprised if you see them react in the same way as DSP, to be honest with you. Because all their lives are encompassed by the internet, by being online. This is where their life is. All three of them have very little going on in their actual life outside of it. Even though Kelly's married, Low Tier God's in better shape than all of them and probably goes outside way more than they do. And DSP has nothing. DSP has become a prisoner to this, whatever this is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not even really, this is going to seem really dehumanizing, but he's not even, it's hard to look at Darkside Phil even as a person anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because DSP has always wanted to be more than a person, right? He's always wanted to be more than what he is, but he never knew how to do that. Sadly, I don't perceive him as a person anymore. I perceive him as a flaw, like a general flaw in humanity, right? He's a mistake. And he's a mistake that people, all of us, can learn from. And that's essentially what his purpose is, because he himself doesn't have a purpose. He doesn't, and at 40, he doesn't even know what his purpose is. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I perceive Darkside Phil. I look at him as a constant reminder that if you become complacent, right? If you don't learn how to treat people well, right? Especially the people who have treated you well. And if you look at people as nothing more than disposable commodities that only are to be used and then discarded, this is kind of how you're going to end up. In a personal hell where you're extremely lonely, right? But you have to put on the facade that you're successful, that you're happy, that things are going the way you want people to believe it's going, despite basically the contrary to popular belief, the reality of the situation, which is you're a failure. Your marriage is a sham. You have a sick cat. You have a house that's slowly but surely falling apart. And you're a perpetual liar. So even if he got into a situation where he needed real help, there wouldn't be anybody to help him. There's very few people who would believe him, to be honest. If not in a more trolling type of... unless they trolled him considerably hard, you know what I'm saying, before giving the money up. And by then, he would have to humiliate himself or dehumanize himself in such a way that would it really be worth it? Which goes back to another fundamental aspect of Darkside Phil, the way he is willing to humiliate himself for short-term gains. Because anything in the long term would require work. It's easier to let people put you down and collect pity bucks and say they're all no lives, they're assholes and all that bullshit from the very people who are giving you money who fit that description, than to actually have some pride and actually do some real work. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens when you wish for an easy life. Or, to take that even further, you believe that you're owed an easier life, a better life than what's above your station, if you will. Because at the end of the day, everybody is entitled to happiness. Some people just have to work hard to get it. And that depends on what your definition of happiness is, clearly, so keep that in mind. So, but I really want you to take all this in because it really lays out how bleak of an existence Darkside Phil, DSP, Phil Burnell actually lives. There is no finish line for him, if you will. Like, there is no greater purpose for him. There is no plan, if you will. He's just someone who latches himself on to whatever or whoever will allow him to do so. He's a parasite, basically. He's definitely cancer, but he's certainly a parasite. He latches himself on to whatever person or whatever thing he can, and he siphons it for everything that it's worth, and then he moves on. If he can move on. Like right now, he's boxed in the fact that all he has is YouTube. He's too scared to go anywhere else because he doesn't have a foothold in. He doesn't have a platform, if you will. An established platform is probably the better term for it. He doesn't have an established platform for him to actually build off of. He would literally have to build it himself. And DSP, as you can see, with that whole coat rack, he doesn't know how to build anything. He's too stupid to drill some holes into that coat rack, into the wall. He decided to use sticky tape, or adhesive tape, I think it really what it was, and hope to prop it up like that. When that eventually failed, he just, those vests, those coats, whatever you want to call them, are just on the floor, or they're off to the side somewhere until someone pays him some money to pick it up and put it on. If he's too lazy to do that, what would make any of you believe he would do anything to change himself for the betterment of himself or his family or anything else? Take all that in.
Like they don't like their lives. So be honest. This is not me, by the way, but this is in general the mentality of this. You look at the situation, and you're like, well, a lot of people are married or in a ongoing, meaningful relationship by the time that they're this age. A lot of people have families, kids. All right, a lot of people are locked in financially to a lot of things that are maybe good or could be really bad, dependent. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people take a look at everything going on, you know, in their lives and say, oh, I hate it. And it's typical. It's actually a running joke in the United States that people will, like, when they hit 40 years old, they'll look and say, oh, I need to change everything, man. I want to feel like I'm a spry spring chicken again. I got to act like, you know, I'm 20 years old again. And, you know, you have guys running out and they're buying, you know, sports cars and shit, even though they shouldn't. They have families at home. Why are you irresponsibly spending your money on a sports car? Oh, it's because a lot of people...
Coming from the same individual who irresponsibly throws his money away on fucking digital JPEGs that don't mean jack shit of jack shit. Yet again, I don't know what old show he used to watch with his mother that kind of perceives all this. I'm pretty sure there are people out there who do that. Something that's a bit more common than going out and just buying a fucking sports car or potentially cheating on your wife, which is something that occasionally happens, I've been told. When people are feeling like they're in a rut or trying to capture something of their youth, but not to say that's exclusive to it, is people start, like I said, they start a hobby. They build cars, for example. They might buy themselves a boat. You know what I'm saying? They pick up hobbies that they didn't have a chance to do when they were younger. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of things that you have to do. But I think any rational adult, if there's things that they want to change, you have to do it gradually. You can't just change everything about yourself at once. It just doesn't work that way. You'll never get anything done. It's like the concept of, like, it's like trying to save the world, right? If you try to save everybody, you'll save no one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's sad, but it's true. Can't save everybody. It's just not practical. It's not possible. So it falls into the exact same concept. You can't change every single aspect of your life at once and expect it to work out. It just doesn't work that way. If it did, everybody would do it. I wouldn't say would we be in a utopia, but if it worked that easily, everybody would. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of that could come down, I should say, to like vanity type changes. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. So, and that's, you know, that's like stuff like, oh, well, you need to lose like 10 pounds. Maybe you want to straighten your teeth out. You know, maybe you want to get corrective surgery on your, you know, like latex, or what's it called? Not latex. Shit. Oh my god, I can't think of what it's called right now. Like corrective eye surgery. I just can't think of the word right now. It starts with an L though. It's stuff like that. I guess that would kind of be like vanity type changes, but some of them could be, I guess, quality of life. But I feel like anything over, I would say like it's like 25 pounds or more is like a quality of life type change. 10 pounds you can pick up and drop rather consistently depending on what you're doing. LASIK surgery, by the way, is what I was thinking about. Stuff like that. But if you're talking about making real changes, let me get back on subject, sorry. If you're talking about making real changes to your life, you can't do them all at once. Your best bet is to make a list and commit yourself to that list and cross them off. Because a list is kind of like a double-edged sword. Like, a list is really just it's just a list of things that you don't plan to get done. So you have to really be committed to it. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be something that it should never be something like a DSP or a Wings of Redemption where your back is up against the wall and you have to do it because you had put it off for so goddamn long that now it could really hurt you if you don't. It's something that you have to be willing to put, you have to be willing to make sacrifices. And that's the whole thing about change, or doing the right thing. You're sacrificing something to do so. And a lot of people don't look at it that way. People look at it as it's an inconvenience, right? But it's more than that. Like, whatever it is that you're doing that you think that's inconveniencing you is more than likely a waste of your time anyway. Your best bet is to commit to that change and let it play out for like 3 months and see what happens. If you feel like it's not going anywhere, then you can change up or you can make adjustments. You know what I'm saying? While you have the time to make changes, you should do it instead of putting it off or instead of giving yourself more and more reasons not to. But that's neither here nor there.
Like, oh, you know, this is the time of my life that now I need to show that I'm still energetic and young, maybe at heart, even if I'm not young in person. A lot of people completely change their physical appearance and their style, right? It's like, why do you have a middle-aged dad, right, who's all of a sudden walking around with sunglasses on and, you know, he's wearing stylish clothing, driving a sports car around? It's like, what are you doing? You have a family at home. Like, shouldn't be your focus, right? Anyway, this is just a running kind of.
So because you have a wife and children at home, it doesn't mean that you can't have style. Like I said, let's cut his obsession with sports cars out, because that's something that's clearly it's clearly something that he's fantasizing about. A lot of this is projection on his part, but having a more updated wardrobe, why is that a bad thing? Like, at the end of the day, I mean, honestly, I'm of the belief that wear what you're comfortable with. But there's nothing wrong with having some nice clothes in your closet. There's definitely nothing wrong with owning a few suits. Just for, well, I could go through it, but there's a bunch of reasons why you should have at least, I think they say you should have anywhere between 3 and 5. And for various reasons, weddings, funerals, job interviews, stuff like that. That's just something that should be part of your wardrobe. But I think that there's no reason to not have something updated in your wardrobe. Because I'll definitely say this. If you have anything in your closet that you haven't worn for 5 years or more, you should donate it. Just pure and simple. It's just gathering dust otherwise. There's no point in sitting on it if you're not actually going to wear it. So you might want to consider that the next time you guys take a hard look at your closet. Same concept. But this is coming from a perpetual bum who has been wearing the same clothes for a decade. Think about that, a decade. So who is he to criticize anybody about style when he has none? 40 years old, running around, wearing shit from his 30s. And a lot of that shit is just falling apart. And more importantly than that, he spends his day, even though he's at home, I understand that concept, running around wearing piss-stained jammies? Is this someone really that, excuse me. Is this someone who can seriously criticize anybody else when he's too afraid to leave his own home? What sense does that make? And then, like I said, his thought process is outdated. Extremely outdated, I think. But more importantly than that, it's projection. Like, you know what I'm saying? He really looks at it as, oh, once you got a wife and kids, you're locked in. There's no point in doing anything at that point. Just slave away, you know, building a life, you know, providing for your family, and that's that. That's a very, yet again, bleak way of looking at life. And that right there should give you guys an idea of what his thought is, what his thoughts are about long-term relationships and marriage as a whole. You should really take that in.
A cultural thing here in the United States. The funny part about all that is, literally none of that applies to me. Like, I'm in a good situation, and who knows, you know, in my life, over the course of my life, many times people ask me, Phil, what do you want to do with your life?
So you're telling me that people who have jobs or careers, who have a wife and kids, they're in a bad position compared to you? While you get to sit at home, yet again, in your piss-stained jammies and beg for money online? This is your job. This is your career. This is your hobby. This is what, you know, you love this thing so much, as this is what gets you up in the morning, right? And he can't even shave for work. He looks like a bum. He looks like someone picked him up off the streets and put him into a room and turned the camera on and said, yeah, entertain for a couple hours and we'll give you free room and board. You could literally do this with any other homeless individual, and I don't think you would honestly be able to tell the difference. You really wouldn't. I think someone who sadly is down on their luck like that, who's homeless, would have more to say, who would have better insight. I think they could provide more. But, you know, it is what it is. But how is it that he's in a better position than anybody else when those people don't have to beg for a living? Those people don't have to come up with absolute bullshit to get people to buy in and give them money. How is he in a better position than any average American of the same age? Older or younger, to be honest with you. Let's let him talk about it.
You picture yourself when you're this age or at this time period, right? And basically, I never answered those questions because my life has been a roller coaster of highs and lows, ups and downs. Sometimes there's waves of positivity and sometimes there's crashing valleys of negativity, okay? And after having many stressful years when this started kind of happening to me in my 20s and not knowing where the rest of my life was going, I said, I'm going to go with the flow. You know, and that doesn't mean, by the way, that doesn't mean that you don't plan things out or you don't have aspirations of things you'd like to do with your life or your family, etc. What it means is you don't.
But you don't have any aspirations. If you've listened to him just recently, his only real goals, which are all short term, by the way, is to take his wife out on a honeymoon and to update his setup, and that's it. That's not long term goals. I mean, during the vet streak, he could have, if he had saved the money, I should say, he could have taken Catherine to Disney, and he could have updated his setup, and he could have done anything else that he needed to do as it pertains to work around his home. The vet streak could have covered all of that, and some. He still could have had some money on the side, but he didn't want to do it. He wanted to spend the money as quickly as he got it because he's an addict. So. But what other long-term goals has he told you about? Or not even that. Like, those would, I guess you consider goals, but what long-term aspirations does he have for his life? Where does he see himself in 5 years? If you asked him that on stream, he'd tell you he doesn't know. He doesn't want to think about it. If you asked him what he's going to do in 10 years, oh, I haven't thought about it. I don't know. I take everything one day at a time. So you're never going to go anywhere then. You're just hoping that you can just kind of essentially float along and hopefully, and hope and pray, I guess, for a large sum of money to come about. If not, you're just okay with just lingering, not even surviving, not even thriving, just lingering. That's all his existence has come down to. He's explaining it to you right now. So what makes his thought process at 40 any different than his thought process when he turned 30? What made any of that any different from when he turned 20? And keep in mind, all of the ups and downs, and more importantly, the hate mob and all the negativity that came to him, he brought it upon himself. A lot, you can find a lot of it on the farms, on Kiwi farms. But if you just go through the SRK archives, if you can still access it, which it's alright. I think a lot of that's been backed up anyway. So even if the site is down, you can still, you just search around, you can find it. Kiwi farms is probably your best bet. You can see what kind of asshole he was on his multiple sock accounts because he was running around like a fucking dickhead, treating people like absolute garbage because he thought he could. And then when he got smacked, then when they backsmacked him, he basically sounded like fucking Sidella and say, "Oh, I have a handicap. Please don't do this to me. Oh, I'm sorry." You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever. I get into a bad headspace. His depression or whatever. How do you take something like that seriously? The man has to hold a week-long celebration of his own birthday just so he can get money together, so he can buy groceries and essentially, I don't know, fulfill his obligation as a man. And I use that term loosely as it pertains to him. As a husband, as a supposed provider, even though supposedly Catherine works. Keyword is supposedly. He has to beg on... think about this for a minute. He has to beg online daily, but certainly one day in particular a week, just so he can have the money for groceries and supplies for his day off. He has to literally beg people for money. If you guys do not give me this money, I won't be able to take my wife out for a nice meal. I won't be able to provide... I won't be able to buy groceries. I won't be able to provide Jasper with supplies that he needs. He said that. No one made that up. He said that. Are any of you not surprised? So none of you can be surprised that he's at where he's at now. And this, yet again, this right here is supposed to be a better life than other people who actually have careers, who have actually done shit with their life, who have traveled at least once or twice a year. You know what I'm saying? Who have seen some shit. Who was able to share that with someone who actually gave a fuck about them and they give a fuck about. Who have been blessed enough to have kids and be able to share those experiences with their children. How is it that he has it better than those people, allegedly? I don't know.
Live your life by some grandiose expectation that by some time frame or time period you have to necessarily obtain this certain goal. And if you don't hit it, now all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm a failure and my life sucks. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people live their life that way. Like, oh, I had a plan that by the age of 40 I was going to have this kind of life, this kind of house, this kind of money, this kind of this and that. And then you look at it, oh, I didn't hit it, so I'm a failure. And now, oh, man, I got to reassess my life and stuff like that. And I've never been that kind of person, okay? Instead, I just go with the flow or whatever's going on currently in my life.
X the doubt on that. So, when you got ran out of the FGC, you said you had to reevaluate what you were doing. When you were getting punished by Machinima, you said you had to reevaluate what you were doing. When you were getting slapped the fuck up by Twitch, and they were suspending you multiple times and shit, you had to reevaluate what you were doing. When Leanna Panda left his bitch ass, he had to reevaluate what he was doing. When he got married to... Sorry, when he established his relationship with Catherine, he had to reevaluate what he was doing. He had to make adjustments. When he promised his mother that he was going to do this 10-year plan to get his shit together, he had to make adjustments, and he had to make adjustments to his life. What the fuck is he talking about? And those are just the things that come off, that I can have come off the dome just right now. If I really sat down and think about it, I could probably go through entire sagas where he's made adjustments throughout his life and shit. There are pre-streams of telling him he needs to do stuff differently. If not, this DSP gaming is going to fail, or his business is going to fail, and whatever. What the fuck is he talking about? And if DSP's business fails, according to him, his life is over. He said as much. This is the same idiot who sat there and begged people for tax money. And if he didn't get that tax money, he was going to lose his house. And if he was going to lose his house, he was going to end up on the street. Which is absolute bullshit, because he would just have to go back home to Connecticut. So that right there should tell you something. This idiot was willing to be homeless than to go back home to his parents. He literally begged his audience day in, day out, help me with this tax money. Help me get this money for my mortgage together because I don't want to lose my house. He's told us that if he was to lose his house, him and his relationship with Catherine would fail. Because the relationship was built on the concept, on the idea of them having and keeping that house. So what was their relationship really built on? If that house, if they end up losing the house, that they still couldn't have a relationship in an apartment or whatever the case may be. Just something to think about.
And yes, I do try to plan for things to get better or whatever. You know, I'm not stupid. I don't sit around here and be like, well, everything will just work out in the end if I don't try. That's completely the opposite mentality in life.
Well, that's bullshit too, because he's come out and said, oh, well, we could do this, and we'd be able to do this, and we'd be able to do this, but I need you guys to give me this money. I need to stay on the straight edge, you know what I'm saying, on the path that I'm on, and hopefully, you know, I'll get the extra money that I need, and I can do those things. But I need you guys to continue to contribute. I need you guys to continue to support me, because if not, I can't do anything more than what I'm already doing, guys. I'm already working myself. He said this at one time. I'm already working myself to the bone. I've already poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this, and I cannot do anything more. I would physically get ill. I would physically be ill if I tried to do any more work than what I'm already doing. I need you guys' support. I need you guys to step up and really be there to help me, because if not, this all goes away. Does anybody not remember that? Pepper's Farm remembers that. So his plan was convincing these idiots to give him more money, to maintain what he already had, and hopefully they give him even more money so he can get the extras that he never really planned on doing, unless someone actually bought it for him. Right? That Xbox, he didn't plan to buy that. He wanted one, but he didn't plan to buy one. Someone else had to buy it. What about that new laptop? He didn't plan to buy that. He planned to get someone else to buy it for him. What about the new PC that he keeps harping on about? He's not planning to buy that. He's planning for someone else to buy that.
You absolutely have to plug away and try to do better and make yourself better and make your life better for yourself and your family, okay? It's not about just giving up, all right? But what it is about is maintaining that course positively, going with these big waves of positivity that go up and the ebbs and valleys of negativity that will eventually happen. You know what I mean? No one's going to go on a high and stay up there for the rest of their life. You got to understand you're going to have a low, and it's going to peak and valley, and you have to kind of learn how to adjust and live with that. Don't capsize off the raft of life when you're going on the whitewater rapids.
Now keep this in mind, this tard here, as he's talking all this, he's only figured this out over the last couple years. This is the same idiot that at 35 years old didn't know how to use his washing machine. Why didn't he learn how to use his washing machine? I'll tell you. Sorry, moving this lozenge around. Because this idiot thought that Panda would be there forever, or somebody was always going to be there for him, and they were going to do all the work. They would take care of all the housework. They would take care of all the laundry. They would cook all the meals. And all he has to do is go up to his quote-unquote office/studio, play these video games, convince these idiots to give him a lot of money, as well as making money off ad revenue, and then that's it. It's only been in the last 5 years that this idiot has learned everything that he's telling you right now. Which is kind of wild. Which is also kind of interesting because it makes you think, you know what? Your parents really did fail you. I mean, maybe between all the infidelity that they had, that, you know, that his parents are accused of doing. His words, not mine. Maybe they didn't have time for him. Maybe he has half brothers and sisters out there that he don't know about. I don't know. I don't know. But what I will say is, clearly he was ill prepared when he left that house. Clearly. Yes, academically they may have done everything they could for him, but certainly socially he's missing something. And morally, he's missing a lot. He's missing a lot. So, just something to think about.
There you go. So that being said, okay, with most, I don't say most people, what it really is, it's a cliche. It's a kind of a running thing in American culture where, oh, you hit 40 years old and, oh, you're middle of your life crisis, right? For me, it's the opposite. Right now in my life, I feel more secure. I feel more happy. I feel more fulfilled with what my life is today than any previous time in my life. I really feel
I want you to look at his surroundings real fast, and then you tell me that. Just imagine if the actual chat wasn't there. I want you to look at his I want you to look at him, and then I want you to look what's around him. And I want you to think about every other streamer that you've ever watched who has, you know, a backdrop that's available to them, right? That isn't a green screen, I should say. And think about what they have and how they express themselves, right? And then look at what DSP has. When you look at other people's backdrops, right? There's a few people that come to mind, but let's use someone that DSP don't like, Pro Jared. Look at Pro Jared's backdrop. Bunch of different retro games placed in a certain type of way, right? That really expresses his love for Nintendo games, for games in general, right? And how much he cares about them. They very rarely look like cluttered or disheveled or anything like that. They look pretty much pristine. Maximilian DOODS, another person that DSP is jealous and envious of. Another person who expresses himself with his environment. And someone who you can tell loves games. It's not just fighting games, despite the fact that's what he's really known for, but he loves games in general, right? And he wants to surround himself with these things. He invites people over to his home or into his home to share those real experiences with him, right? People who have either had the opportunity to, certainly people who may have not have had access to it or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? People who he wants to kind of relive that nostalgia if they had never experienced it at all. You know what I'm saying? You feel that with Max. He has a much more inviting environment, if you will, compared to DSP. Now let's look at what DSP has. Bottom of the screen, money. Money, 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 money. Let's look at him himself. Disheveled, unshaved, unwashed. He's a bum. An absolute bum. Someone who needs to go outside, to be honest with you. You got someone who's physically going through atrophy. You got someone who knows what kind of health, where his health is at. It's probably not very good. This is coming from someone who has a cold and allergies right now. I'm a fucking dumbass. And then let's look at his backdrop. Let's look at his environment. He's lived in that house since 2014. Never thought about painting it. That room, never thought about repainting it. We have a couple of containers, I guess I should say, with what looks like a towel thrown over it. We have an Xbox. We have an empty box with another box on top of it. We have a Ryu replica figurine, if you will, or a beaded figure, I should say, not a figure, a beaded item, I guess. I can't think of what those things are actually called. I've seen them at conventions, but you know what I'm saying. He has himself a small replica of Ryu that's old, that's super fucking old. I'm surprised it even made it this far, to be honest with you. He has his red, white, and blue. God knows what else. He has another set of empty boxes off to the side. He has some soundproofing that's really not worth a damn, and that's it. The man literally has nothing. And he has these empty boxes behind him as a flex. Like, oh, look at what I have, right? But because the way it's presented, right, is thrown together, it's lazy, it screams desperation, like, please notice me, instead of, hey, look at what I have here, right? It's uninspiring. It comes across kind of pathetic. And in a lot of ways, the way all of that is presented to you, right, the way it's all set up, right, is a reflection of the man, in air quotes, because I use the term man loosely with him. It's a reflection of him. It really is. The way you do anything is the way you do everything, more often than not. This is it. So then now that you see the man, yet again in air quotes, or man pig, or however you want to word it, and then you see how his environment is, go and look at DSP Gaming. And look at how that's set up. It makes sense. It's not controlled chaos. There's no method to the madness, even though he tries to make you guys think, oh, if you want to watch my videos, watch the playlist. That's the best way to do it, which is absolutely retarded. But whatever. If you look at yet again, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Look at how he presents himself. It's just out there. There's no artistic vision about it. There's nothing unique about it. It's just lazy. It's lazy for the sake of being lazy. Why should anybody pay for that? Why would anybody want to contribute to that? What value would you pull from it? Even as a time waster, or as a time burner, if you will. I don't even know if it's even worth that anymore. Most people don't. And he wonders why he's at where he's at. And really, and to close this argument out, or not this argument, but the statement, seeing him the way he is now with his eyes closed, he's the perpetual idiot with everything around him on fire, and oh, it's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's great. This screenshot is perfect, if you think about it. Everything around him is falling apart. His whole life is failure incarnate, and he knows it, but he doesn't want to. He can't do anything about it, or at least he believes he can't, because that would require effort, an effort that he's not willing to expend, if you will. So it's easier just to run around obliviously stupid and just be okay with it. But try to present to other people that, oh, I'm successful. Oh, I'm happy. Things are going great. Don't listen to these assholes out here who say that I'm a miserable piece of shit. It's not true. Come to my streams and then watch me be a miserable piece of shit. Oh, well, hey, Phil, why don't you put the chat on your... Why isn't the chat on any of the VODs? All the other guys do it. Why don't you do it? There's no point, man. It's distracting. It takes away from the gameplay. Well, then, why do you need a webcam, then? Well, people want to see my reactions, but you very rarely react to anything. So what would be the point of that? Is that not as much of a waste of time as it is, having the chat on screen, or at least available in the VODs? You know what? I don't have time for this. I will ban you if you keep acting like this. Okay? I just want to sit down, play games, and have fun. And also, it's been an hour, and we only have $5 in tips. I don't understand what's going on, but I need you guys to kind of step up. Okay? It's ridiculous that it's been an hour, and I only have $5 in tips. Thanks in advance. Which that just reeks with insincerity.
Way. I don't feel like the best times of my life are behind me. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. I think that everything that I did previously in my life led to what I get to live now every day. And that's a good thing.
Actually, that brings up a good point. Where about his parents giving him money essentially is a long-term plan. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He most certainly,
in fact,
is looking at that as a viable way of doing it. Certainly, it's always been a supplemental income. Excuse me. The thing is, though, with that, and I think this is something that his parents understand, begrudgingly, I think, but I think it's something that they certainly understand, is they made a mistake with Darkside Phil, or with Phil Bruno. They made a mistake with him. He's an idiot. He's clearly an idiot. He is fundamentally missing something that maybe they tried to do it, maybe they didn't. But either way, they failed at it. So when DSP goes to them for money each and every week, which he does, it's punishment. He's punishing them for not giving him the life that he feels that he deserves, the life that he should have had in his youth. If you listen to some of DSP's stories back in the day, even though Connecticut was the hood and whatever, it was Gout Rack or whatever the case may be, he's got a bunch of friends that are running around. They have nice homes. They go on. Their parents took them on vacation all the time. They have boats. They had nice cars when they were in high school, so on and so forth. And DSP didn't have any of that, right? And then in DSP's mind, he's like, "Well, you guys already failed me because you guys didn't give me the upbringing that I should have had." And then when you go back even further and you look at that Wolverine action figure, which it almost always goes back to that. It's the one time that he wanted something and he didn't get it, or he didn't get it when he wanted it, because he did eventually get it. And arguably, the second edition, the one that he eventually ended up getting, is actually worth more than the original, but that's neither here nor there. He holds that over their head. He literally, I wouldn't be surprised if he literally blames his parents for not giving him that action figure, and because of that, it has stunted him mentally, and he takes it out on them. If you guys really loved me, you guys would have given me that. It was a small thing to ask. Why couldn't you come through with it? Now, keep in mind, if his parents, if they haven't already, if they had a bit more guile to them, more gumption, they would have told him, if you really wanted it, why didn't you save your allowance and buy it yourself? DSP would counter and say, you're the adults. You should have bought it for me. I'm your child. You're supposed to give me what I want. I mean, you've seen his behavior when it comes to him not getting tips, when he's not getting enough tips, certainly. You're telling me he wouldn't perpetuate that with his parents? He doesn't value his parents any more than he values anybody on stream. Like, he cares, he does not give a shit about these people. He doesn't give a shit about anybody in his life. That's why he resents them the way he does. That's why he holds the grudges that he holds against them. Just something to think about. But yes, he looks at... DSP is going to try to live off his parents for as long as his parents are alive. What he's not thinking about, because he's an idiot, is that he's squandering his inheritance. That same inheritance that he's going to have to share with his cousin Melissa. He's not thinking about that either. But what he has now, he's squandering it. He's done it since he got fired back in 2010. So think about that. Since 2010, so the better part of 12 years, he has squandered what money his parents have probably been putting away for him. He thinks, oh no, my father makes really, really good money, so he's putting money away, and plus they're giving me money on the side. It's no big deal. It's only a couple of $1,000 a week. How's that really hurting? Well, that shit adds up. And it's been adding up for a while. And that money that he thinks that they're saving, it's probably been just going straight to him. Because Phil, just like how he's bitched and complained to his audience about how I'm going to lose my fucking house and I need you guys' help because I don't want to lose my house. I've worked my ass off, man. I love this house, man, and I've worked my fucking ass off for it, and for it all to be taken away by some asshole kids is bullshit. You're telling me he didn't try to spew that same line to his parents? You really think that didn't happen? I got a bridge to sell you.
I think it's quite the opposite. I think that everything that I did previously in my life led to what I get to live now every day. And that's a good thing, because it was through those high highs, those low lows, those big achievements, but also those major failures and mistakes that I've come to be the person that I am today. And I can go to sleep every night, sleep easy, knowing that I feel I am the best version of me in my life as of now. Maybe not physically because I'm getting older, but at least mentally and morally, I feel like I'm the best person I've been in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Excuse me. Sorry. So DSP thinks that at 40, he is the best. He's the best version of himself, morally and mentally. Holy shit. This is someone who knowingly takes disability money from his audience. This is someone who knowingly he knows that there are people in his audience that have gone through bankruptcy, multiple bankruptcies, are trying to save up for cars, or trying to put money away for school, whatever the case may be, right? And he takes their money willingly to, well, he demands it, I should say. He demands that money and then he takes it. This is the same person who sits here and celebrates his birthday for a week, forgets his wedding anniversary, and then when Mother's Day is coming around saying that, oh, well, I might call her on Mother's Day. We'll see. I don't really see a point in doing that. This is the same person who says, I am happy where I'm at in life, I am successful, but yet he holds grudges against everybody else who's way more successful than he is. These are some of these people he's never even interacted with. He's never even talked to any of these people. And yet, he holds such a grudge against them that he calls them sellouts, he calls them liars, he says that you shouldn't support them or their content because they're never going to be honest with you. It's all about the almighty dollar. Yet you go to their streams and you don't see this shit. You don't see a membership goal, a last super chat, a top tip, and then a tip goal. You don't see that under them. But you see that with him. He's the same person who has called detractors, trolls, haters, and critics liars for saying that he has lied about certain stuff, only for him to come back later and say, yeah, I did lie to you, but I did it to protect my family. But he's the best. He's his best version of himself, morally and mentally. This is the same individual who spent years shitting on people for doing reactionary content, for doing all kinds of other bullshit that he eventually is doing himself, that he's eventually getting ready to do himself. He shat on those people for years. Now he's doing it. This is the same person who says, I don't have any sponsorships. I don't have a contract or any long-term contracts with anybody. So I rely on crowdfunding. I need you guys to step up. Yet when these people who he wants to step up so he can live the life that he wants to live, when they ask him to do something, no, I can't do that. No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't have time to do that. Because all DSP is really doing is just biding his time, waiting for the next big release. That's why these playthroughs are so goddamn long for no reason. On top of him trying to hamper, this is how you don't play. But you know what I mean. But he's in his best place mentally and morally. Really. This is the same man who swears up and down that he loves Catherine dearly. Right? That she is his entire world, that, you know, she's made him such a better person and given him a much better quality of life being in his life. Yet, he is not willing to take an extra day off to spend time with her. They can only spend time together when they have shit to do. Shit that they need to do, I should say. Other than that, he doesn't want to spend any real quality time with her. He really just wants to spend as much time as he needs to spend with her. Which only mirrors his situation with Leanna. But morally, though, we're in our best space, right? We're living our best life. Okay, sure.
I put out content that I feel is meaningful. People tell me on a daily basis what I do is meaningful. And because of that, there's this air of positivity around everything that I do here on DSP Gaming. You see? There's a lot of negative shitheads out there that they judge life based off of financial success. They judge life based off of a number of popularity. That's not what life is about at all, in my opinion. It's about actually being okay with who you are, what you do, and your life situation. And I absolutely positively am. You know, I really am. At one point in my life, I didn't...
You're okay with settling. You're okay with just the bare minimum. And you just hope that you could just keep doing it. You don't want to actually step out of your comfort zone, as he likes to call it, and actually try to strive to be better or do better. Just hope that... Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep chugging along and just hope things will get better. Essentially is what he's saying. Which is contradicting what he had said earlier, but semantics. Okay, sure. Sure. Okay. Gotcha, champ. I don't base success on the number of on numbers. Even though he looks at other streamers and their sub counts and the amount of money that he perceives that they make, or their views on YouTube, and he perceives what the ad revenue is, and he sits there and says, how come other people can get that type of support and you guys aren't supporting me enough? I don't understand. You guys liked this playthrough at the beginning, but now no one seems to care about it. I don't understand what happened. Why you guys loved it so much 50 episodes ago, but now all of a sudden you guys don't give a shit. But isn't this the same idiot that just told us that, hey, there are going to be peaks and valleys, and, you know, what might be good today is not going to necessarily be good tomorrow? This goes back to what I said about his inability. He's not flexible. He's not versatile. Sometimes you kind of just got to let shit go. And the reason why a lot of his playthroughs don't hit the way they are is, one, he's an idiot. I don't care what anybody says. He's an absolute fucking idiot. He's an idiot because, one, to hinder your playthrough, to try to stay ahead of this is how you don't play, but then saying the same snort that this is how you don't play doesn't bother you is... You're an idiot. You're just an absolute idiot. You're only hurting yourself. This is how you don't play, whatever is going to come out no matter what. You can't stop that. Then he's still a massive fucking ignorant idiot, because you're going to sit here and play a game and drag it out just so you have something to do leading up to the next big release. So you think it's a good idea to stretch out a playthrough for 100 fucking parts? And you think that's going to be successful? That's the reason why Elden Ring, from episode 1 to probably like 5, is probably the best that he did. And then it died out after that. Especially after all the patches came out, he essentially didn't even play the original game, if you think about it. So he really doesn't have any reason to boast about anything, because when everybody else was playing shit when it was super difficult, before all the nerfs and everything came in, or whatever, they are the ones that really can speak to what the game was in its most purest form, or what its original form was. He can't. So that's something to think about in itself too. This dude's a fucking nut. Absolute fucking nut. And that's another thing too. Imagine you being 40 years old and you have to be online all day trying to convince people that you're not the loser that people perceive you to be. Which is essentially what DSP does all day. He spends all day fighting with people about how he's not an idiot, how he's not ignorant, how he's not stupid, right? How he's not literally fucked his life up in a way that he could never ever really get out of. And even with, and this is going to be dark, even with the death of his parents, the money that would come out of that wouldn't be enough to fix his issues. Because he is an addict. He has a spending addiction, he has a gambling problem, and he has a drinking problem. And he's never going to overcome any of those things. Because in his mind, that's private, or at least he thinks it's private, and it's not an issue. It's just something that people do. He literally, I think honestly, that's how he perceives it. It's the only way that he can justify it. That's what I think. That's the reason why he won't stop. He doesn't look at it as a problem, which I'm sure most people don't. But it's a habit that's certainly out of his control. But then DSP is someone who's never had any control of himself. Ever. He has anger issues. He's a rageaholic in a lot of ways too. To be honest with you, he's tried to curve that over the years because it's funny laughing at it, and he knows it. So he doesn't want to give any more ammo to the detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. But he very much is someone who has anger issues, and they're deep-seated. They're very deep-seated, and it probably comes down to a lot of resentment against his father, and a confusion with his mother, and the fact that he misses everything his mother does, but he probably doesn't like the amount of control she had over him. Control or influence, probably one of the two. I don't know, that's something that I'll leave that for greater minds to kind of go over. But I'm pretty sure I'm not too far off the mark. That explains why he has these weird relationships with women, or this weird attitude, I should say, with women. He looks at them as like motherly figures. They're only there to take care of you, and that's it. I thought at first that one could make the argument that it's really just him playing up to his narcissism, but I think it's way more deep-seated than that. He's clearly someone, if you've heard him talk for any period of time, he spent way more time with his mother than he did with his father. And every time he did try to, his father did try to spend time with him, DSP was intimidated, or he rationalized these strange reasons on not to do stuff. Why he didn't want to learn how to swim, why he didn't learn how to ride a bike. Like, he always has some type of pathetic reason on why he can't do anything. And he's more comfortable sitting around with his mother, watching soap operas, going shopping, going out to eat, because it's convenient, it's easy, and it's comfortable. Just something to think about.
I think I was going to be past the age of like 34. Seriously. I was at the bottom, the absolute lowest rung of my life I could ever be. And I was depressed, and my life was in shambles, you know. And then there were wild years where I was at the height of my popularity on YouTube, and the sky...
Sorry, let me bring this back. I think you said you didn't expect you'd live past 34? Oh no, is that the depression talking?
I didn't think I was going to be past the age of like 34. Seriously. I was at the bottom, the absolute lowest rung of my life I could ever be, and I was depressed, and my life was in shambles, you know. And then there were wild years where I was at the height of my popularity on YouTube, and the sky was the limit, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but it was just like a crazy, wild ride, and it was incredibly stressful. And, you know, there were many years there early on when I was way over the top drinking and just being kind of out of control with my life schedule and how I did things. You know what I mean? Like, over the years.
Now, keep in mind, this is the same person who has said publicly that YouTube gave his life meaning. That before YouTube, he had nothing. Or he felt like he had nothing. And YouTube gave him... It gave him, not purpose, but it gave his life meaning. It made him feel like he was important. It made him feel like people cared about him. Keep that in mind.
Years, because of my behavior and because of the way that things just turned out, friendships were broken and the like. And I look at today, and I'm like, you know, I'm about to turn 40 years old, and I got to look at the big picture of everything. Okay, could things be better in my life right now? Absolutely. Like I told you guys last year, before the Twitch TV nonsense, okay, being very honest and transparent with all of you here, before Twitch TV decided to cut my partnership literally for no good reason, no justifiable reason, legally they don't have a leg to stand on for the way that they treated me, okay? Before that happened, I was actually on pace to dramatically improve my life. I was making enough money via the streaming on Twitch to basically say, wow, within a year or two, I can improve the business, I can save money to potentially have a real honeymoon with my wife, to maybe do some home improvements and things around here that I've wanted to do for years and years and couldn't afford. Like, things were turning around for the better.
Not true. He was, remember, he was complaining and begging for grocery money while he was still on Twitch. Even after the vest streak. That was the new hustle. You know what I'm saying? So, no, things couldn't have been working out as good as he said it was when he's begging for fucking grocery money. Which is even more ironic because he was, at the time that he got finally demonetized off Twitch, he had, what, 900 plus fucking gifted memberships? Or gifted subs, I think. I think they're called subs over there. He had about 900 plus of those. You know what I'm saying? He was barely pulling... I don't know what he was pulling in cheers. He was probably pulling at least $50 or $60 a stream at the very least. And then God knows what he was making behind the scenes. As it pertains to the people who tipped him behind the scenes that you don't see pop up. Because he disabled the Streamlabs leaderboard. But then that doesn't matter either because he got banned off of Streamlabs anyway. So I think he was on Stream Elements at that time. Or he was just taking money directly to his PayPal. So you'll never really know where he's at, but it doesn't matter because, if, like I said, you go back to Twitch, he was bitching about money while he was over there. He was crying and complaining about it. And yet again, he was saying that people need to really step up and give him this money if they want to see the improvements that they keep hassling him over. He can't make improvements to his business if he can't, you know, pay his bills to keep the house, to make the changes, right? I mean, that's his logic, not mine. Just something to think about. And keep in mind, he was still getting his little $300-$400 off Patreon each and every month. Plus, he still had YouTube ad revenue at that time, which was probably no more than like, I don't know. I guess it was making like between 12 and 17,000. You know, something like that. So he's still collecting. So he was still in truth, he was probably in a comfortable situation, but he wasn't saying that. Every day he was on Twitch, he was bitching and complaining about something. But now he's telling you, oh, everything was great on Twitch. I was going to make home improvements. I was going to get the second honeymoon. I was going to do the upgrades for the business. I was going to save money, and he's never saved money. 40 years old, he ain't never saved a goddamn cent in his life. The last time I can even remember him saying that he had any money put away was when he was about to buy the Snort fort in Washington. That's the only time I've ever remembered him saying he had money in the bank. If not, it was always spent on bills or was spent on personal indulgements. He's never saved a goddamn thing in his life. He doesn't believe in it. He does not believe in it.
And then Twitch essentially screwed me over for no good reason whatsoever. It's not like I'd done anything horrible or anything even justified in them kicking me out of the program. They're just a bunch of fucking assholes. It's really the only way to say they're completely unprofessional. So that being said, after that, I had to readjust my life. And now essentially I'm kind of on hover. You know what I mean? Like I was on the way up and now I've kind of plateaued again. I'm like, well, now I got to start from scratch. Now here I am on YouTube trying to build up where I was again. So I'm certainly not, you know, blowing into the stratosphere cloud 9 kind of a thing. There's definitely things in my life that can be improved, and I hope that over time they will. I think, again, a lot of that is about maintaining the course, staying positive, working hard, sticking with the dedication and the work ethic that I've had, and keeping things going, okay? But essentially, the way I see it is, my life is great. What do I really have to complain about? Would I like to have more time with my family on a weekly basis? Yes. Would I like to make more money so I could have more flexibility in the things that I'm doing? Yes. But outside of all of that, in the big picture scheme of things, things are great. Okay? So I'm approaching my 40th birthday in about a week and a half, and a lot of people at this age, in America at least, they start freaking out about a midlife crisis and how
yet again, going back to other people to try to prop himself up. This idiot just told you he wished he could spend more time with his family, right? Because the way he's saying his life is almost over. So he's saying that he can't spend enough time with his family. He's saying that he doesn't have enough money in the bank. Or he doesn't have enough money. He didn't even say about saving. He just said so he would have he wished he could have more money so he could do more stuff. Not save, just to do more stuff. But his life is great. And then goes back to try to reinforce his argument that other people in America, though, that are at 40, they're miserable. They're all suicidal. They're already ready to clock out. To check out, if you will. But me, though, dude, I'm great, man. I'm great. Even though he puts out a video that can barely he puts out videos on YouTube that barely crack 5,000. Right? Barely. He has an internet presence that's it's so toxic. It's so uninspiring. It's so insignificant, to be honest with you, that if you're going to do business with Darkside Phil, you're going into it with the almost expressed intention of taking advantage of him, because there's nothing else to him. There's nothing to do but do that, and DSP's track record proves that you can essentially take advantage of him all you want, as long as he gets a little piece, as long as he can go back and tell people that, oh, this business deal is working out great. I'm making so much extra money and whatever. But then again, I'm not making enough money. I still need you guys to support me. But this deal is really working out, guys. I think this is going to be something big. And if you know, as long as that works out, as long as you guys keep supporting me, if we stay the course, you know, a high tide, you know, lifts all boats, right? So, you know, but things look like it's really working out. Even though he's walking away with fucking nothing, essentially. He's gotten mittens compared to what's really being made. You know what I'm saying? As long as he believes that he's getting more than what he had before the deal existed, he's fine with. Which is a terrible way of looking at something. Don't be wrong, You should be grateful for every opportunity that's presented to you or given to you. Absolutely. But DSP takes that shit to this warped sense of reality that whenever something is given to him or presented to him, he thinks he's winning. Not realizing that if you don't utilize it properly, or if you don't give the proper... Big up the agent proper, by the way, in the DIA. If you don't give it the proper respect that it deserves, and respect the people who took time out of their day, their week, their month, to give them the proper respect they deserve, it's all going to crumble. He doesn't understand that. In a lot of the ways of like a Rich from Review Tech USA, ask him how many fucking sponsorships that he ain't lost, and then ask him why he lost it. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about it. I already know, but I'm anxious to hear what you have to say.
They are, and how they wish their life was better, and they start acting differently, and they start, you know, dropping money on dumb stuff. And for me, I look at all that in my life and I say, you know, I don't feel that way at all. I really legitimately don't. And I could understand maybe someone who worked themselves into a rut, into a corner, and now they feel trapped by a life that they created, and now they don't like it anymore, and this is essentially their life, and they have to deal with that. I'm the opposite.
Now, isn't this is definitely, like I said, this proves my projection argument. Because isn't DSP the same one who's wanting to transition out of video games and wants to start going into really having a podcast, getting into reaction content and all of that? Isn't that not the same thing? He's not doing it because he's not doing it because he wants to do it, like this is a natural evolution for him. He's doing it because it's not paying the bills anymore. And on top of that, he doesn't want to do it anymore. He hates it. He hates games. He's hated games for a very, very long time, and he couldn't figure out a way to get out. Or he couldn't figure out a way to transition. And so it took Keemstar to come in and basically say, you're a bitch, you're a failure, you're always going to be a failure, you always will be a failure, to now he wants to transition and do something else. The same thing that people in his audience have been saying to him since 2016. 2017. But he didn't give a fuck about them, though. He had to wait for Keemstar to embarrass him in front of the whole fucking internet to finally want to do something. But we're happy, though.
I really actually feel like things are great right now in regards to my content, my job, my personal life with my family at home. Everything is good. So why would I have a crisis around that? Right? That's pretty crazy to think that I'm actually in a good position, and it makes me feel very happy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to announce officially right now.
Jesus Christ. Look at those arms, bruh. No wonder he needs Catherine to go everywhere with them, if they even leave the house. I honestly think that he's paying all of his bills online, and they get groceries delivered to the house. I don't think they go anywhere anymore. Honestly. And that's probably why we don't see Catherine. She's probably put on some weight. But, look at his arms, though. Like, there's a reason why this ass clown has a hand cart. And keep in mind, he's had that hand cart since his, he's had that hand cart since he was in his 20s. I mean, keep in mind, while he was in his 20s, he needed to use a shower stool. He probably still does. But he had to use a shower stool. You know what I'm saying? Go back through his condo walkthroughs in Connecticut. You'll see what I'm talking about. Holy shit, bruh. Oh, it's so... It would be much funnier if it wasn't true.
Next Wednesday will be Darkside Phil's 40th birthday bash. Yes. Darkside Phil's 40th birthday bash will be happening on that day. So you might say, what is that? What does that entail? Okay. Number one, it will be a gaming marathon.
But Phil, you only do gaming marathons when you hit goals like a membership goal on your channel. And right now, with only a few days left in March, you're not even close to hitting your membership goal. So, why are you going to do a celebratory event?
Because it's my birthday and because I like my life and I want to celebrate. That's why. Fuck it.
I have the ability to do a celebratory event whenever I want, and I feel like doing one. We actually haven't done a marathon since it was very, very early February. So actually, it'll have been over 2 months since I did a marathon-style event, and I want to do another one. So too bad. If you don't like it, tough shit, I'm doing it. Alrighty then. Okay, so what does this entail, and how is this going to work? Well, first of all, starting on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, when I come back from my break, and we have this full week of streaming before my birthday, you're going to see birthday decorations behind me. And no, I don't just mean this thing, whatever the hell this thing is. There's going to be stuff. I'll probably get some balloons. I'll probably get some streamers. Probably get some silly stuff. All right? Also starting that day, all right, whenever someone does a significant contribution to the stream...
Yeah, I guess only Ice Cuck is... Well, he didn't do it, but, I mean, I'm sure he could have. If he wanted to, he could have sent Phil a new PC for his birthday. Holy shit, dude. That's really sad. And this actual screenshot works out. That's pretty fucking sad that you need... You feel like you're in such a rut, right? That you need an entire week for people to make you feel like your life is worth something. Like, that's really what it kind of comes down to, if you think about it. Like, he needs these people to make him feel whole, to make him feel like his existence means something. That's just terrible. That's really just terrible. And his face kind of matches up with what I'm saying. It's just miserable. Like, this is what 40 for Darkside Phil looks like. That's just unfortunate. It really is. That's just unfortunate.
Do something to celebrate, like make a noisemaker or something like that, something like this. But as you can see, this kind of sucks. Anything for this, right? It's terrible. I've had this for many years. It's burnt out. I bought a whole pack of them. They suck. Last year I bought a new pack of them. It doesn't make any noise, which I didn't know. I thought it made noise and it doesn't. Okay? So what I want to do, I want to get something that's basically going to make noise or something, you know, a horn, something to celebrate when someone contributes in a big way. All right? And so when people do that...
You couldn't just download a sound effect from YouTube and put it into OBS? And then just make a hotkey for it, or assign a hotkey for it, and then just do that. You have to actually go out and spend money on whatever the fuck. Wow, that's very uninspiring, Phil.
Actually, make a noise like, "Whoa, woohoo! Thank you for celebrating with me my birthday week." Okay, so that's coming up, and then on my actual birthday, April 6th. I'm going to do a marathon of stuff. What's it going to be? Well, number one, it'll be a marathon of gaming. So rather than me doing 2 separated gameplay streams like I typically do that are each one game, it'll be a marathon of stuff that I do over the course of the day. Okay? There will be breaks, but the breaks won't be super lengthy breaks. It's more of a lot more gaming you get in a marathon style than you do on a typical day of streaming for me. I am going to do a special holiday birthday event of feasting with the king. Yes, so on that day, okay, I will be ordering food, and we will be ordering together that morning, and it'll be delivered during the day, and we're going to have a meal together. This is a great thing that I do. You guys really love it. Last one that I did was Mexican food. The one before that was Filipino. The one before that, I believe, was Mediterranean. The one before that, I think, was Sonic drive-in food, and then before that, I think it was Indian food. And you guys seem to really like the series. So... it's continuing special birthday edition of Feasting with the King. And on top of all that, my wife Kat will be making me a birthday cake, and I'll be trying said birthday cake live here on the marathon stream at some point when I feel like a piece of birthday cake. I'll be cutting the cake, maybe have a candle, blow it out, and have a piece of cake to celebrate my birthday live on stream. Okay? So that's a lot. All going on that day. That's way out of the ordinary. Now you may say, okay, great. A gaming marathon, Phil, but what is the gaming marathon? Okay, well,
keep in mind too. I was kind of just thinking about this. Since Catherine has been there, which is what 2018 is when she showed up, she's never been on stream to eat a piece of birthday cake with him at all. Anybody else notice that? Like, she's gonna be home clearly, or maybe she won't be home. Who can say? Because he ordering food instead of her making something, right? And then they're gonna cut this cake up, which is either store bought or it's a piece from last year or whatever the case may be. And then he's gonna eat it alone, essentially. Yeah, you could say that he has an audience. He's gonna have people with him on stream, but let's be honest, he doesn't give a fuck about them, and they're all peons anyway. So he's gonna be alone. Jesus Christ. Doesn't have a friend in the world to even call him and wish him happy birthday. His parents. And that's probably it. More than likely that's it. He doesn't have not a single person to call him and actually wish him a happy birthday. God damn, bro.
A couple of ideas. However, the problem is we really only have a week to make it happen. Okay, previous marathon events, usually there's an extended period of time where you guys could like nominate and then vote on games for the event. That's not the case this time around. I'm planning it essentially only a week ahead of time. So with that little bit of time, we don't have a lot of time. So I have two ideas. Here's my two ideas. All right, let's listen. Let's see what people think. Idea number one is Game Pass, meaning one night coming up, we can jump in for maybe like 20 minutes into Microsoft Game Pass, and we can see what's in there. And we can either choose games that are already started, for example, Quake, I Am Fish, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, etc. Games we've already tried out, we know that we like, and I could play them for like an hour at a time during the marathon and make a little bit more progression. Okay, or we could pick a few new games. Okay, it all depends, but it will be based on, basically what I would do is we would do one stream over the course of this next week, only like a 15-20 minute segment where we jump into Game Pass, we see what's there, we talk about it, and we pick certain things to do during the marathon event. That's number one. Okay, the other idea is I basically do a marathon of the things I'm doing, and I do a little bit of progress in every game. So, for example, a segment of Elden Ring, that would probably be about 90 minutes. A segment of Ghostwire Tokyo, that would probably be about 90 minutes. A segment of Kirby, that would probably be about 90 minutes. And a segment of Skyrim, that would probably be about 90 minutes. Okay? So, essentially, you get roughly 6 hours of gameplay, plus Feasting with the King, plus the birthday cake celebration, and some nice fun breaks, and a podcast, everything in there, all right? Those are my two.
A birthday cake celebration and some nice breaks. That's it? There's nothing. It's a regular day. It's essentially a regular streaming day, except for it's his birthday. And he gets to play games that he hates already in shorter game blocks. And he wonders why no one gives a fuck. Why can't we have a multiplayer event on that day? It is your birthday, right? You're celebrating it with all these people, right? You couldn't pick a bunch of multiplayer games and, hey, we have 90-minute blocks. So we'll pick one multiplayer game, Call of Duty, I guess, play that for 90 minutes. Play Halo for 90 minutes or whatever. And we'll pick like some party games on the Switch or some shit and play that, or on PlayStation, whatever. And then do Feasting with the King, then do your lame-ass cake, and then you can fuck off for the day. If this is supposed to be a birthday celebration, why don't you actually celebrate it with people? I.e., why don't we actually do something that interacts with people? Why couldn't he do that? Oh, because he doesn't give a shit about people, he hates people, and they only have a purpose, and that's giving him money, and essentially giving him ass pats on his birthday, and that's it. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Ideas. Now, I feel there's pros and cons to each. Okay? So let me weigh and balance these with you so you can get a better idea and try to get my mindset of where I'm coming from on this. Okay? In regards to the Game Pass idea, I feel that the Game Pass idea is fun because you get to play a variety of stuff that I'm not already really regularly playing. There are games that I've played on Game Pass that are quite entertaining and fun, and then they kind of went on hiatus because February and March were so crazy busy with game releases. There was zero opportunity to go back and do anything off of Game Pass again. It was just too crazy. And this would give you an opportunity to maybe check out some of those games again that you guys really enjoyed and play a good segment of each one of them. Okay? But there's a flip side to all of that. You're only going to get between an hour to an hour and a half of each of these games. No, these games still cannot make it into the regular rotation of streams because there's too many new releases right now. In fact, I can't even promise you if or when we would go back to play these Game Pass games again because I'm in the middle of 4 releases. There's more coming up that are on hold, like WWE 2K22 you guys want to see. This Lego Star Wars game is coming out you guys are going to want to see. I don't have time for Game Pass right now. You see what I'm saying? So essentially what would happen is you're going to get a good taste of some stuff that you liked a couple months ago, but then it's all going to go on hold again. And I don't want to tease people and essentially make people feel kind of sad that, oh, I got a little bit more of that game that I'm interested in still seeing Phil play, and now I got to wait endlessly again for it to come back. Maybe it's better to just wait entirely until I have more time to dedicate to it. Like, I know for...
And this is the reason why... this is the reason why he does dumb shit like, oh, you guys were asking me to play this game like 6 months ago, and now I'm playing it, and no one's supporting it, because no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. You got 4 playthroughs right now that are going that are uninspiring as shit. You got 2 more games coming up. Lego was fun until he started getting demonetized, or he allegedly said he got demonetized for some shit. And as far as I see, WWE 2K22 or whatever is a complete and utter clusterfuck. To be honest, he's hating the shit out of that game. Except for the simulation mode. Other than that, he seems to be hating the fuck out of that game. Which is funny too, because why would you play a game if you don't keep up with wrestling anymore? Which is weird. And then he bitches and complains about how, oh, I don't keep up with AEW at all. Like, at all. I don't watch anything of AEW. And the next snort, oh, well, I do watch the clips. I do see the clips of people on AEW and yada, yada, yada. He's talking about the clips that you see on Twitter, but I think he also watches the quick segments on YouTube too. So he does stay abreast to a lot of that. I don't know why he'd lie about it, but whatever. So yeah, you're sitting here putting off all these games for no fucking reason. Hence the reason why, if he really gave a fuck about the audience and he didn't want to get anybody overly committed to a new playthrough that he's going to end up dropping later, just turn the whole birthday event into a multiplayer event. Just do that. Or go ahead and turn it into a reaction event and watch some YouTube videos or whatever. That could have been a thing too. He literally could have done his own down the rabbit hole on his birthday. He literally could have done that and made a whole event out of it. Womp womp.
I Am Fish, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. What was the other one? The one about the space exploration one? I can't remember what it was called. Was it Outer Wilds? That one? And those games have a following. People want to see me go back and play those games. I just can't do it right now. And I don't know, I feel like, would it be cool to play a little bit of each of those games again during my birthday event? Sure. But I'm a little upset. Not upset. I'm a little worried that what it might do is actually piss more people off than not. And say, wow, gee, thanks for playing the game I've been waiting for 2 months, but now you're making me wait again for more. This is bullshit. You see? So, the other thing about this is, if I take that entire day away for my birthday and I'm doing Game Pass stuff, now I'm holding up progress in the games that I'm already playing, right? And I think it's not the end of the world, certainly, but at the very same time, it's good to always be making progress towards the things you're working on, rather than saying, okay, it's going on hold temporarily, so do something different. Now I come back and I'm even more backlogged than I was
Who talks about playing games for a living like this? Like, I used to watch a streamer, I'm not sure if he still streams, I'm pretty sure he does. Man vs. Game. I used to watch him a lot. And he was always playing different games. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was always playing a new game or whatever. He banged a lot of this shit out in just one session or whatever. I've never heard him complain about this like this at all. Even when he was juggling multiple games, it was never like this. At all. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Disrespect, for example, was bouncing around. I mean, I think he's finished Elden Ring now. Or if not, he's close. But he's bouncing around between Call of Duty, between fucking... what's the other one he's playing? Apex Legends. There's a couple of games that people want him to play or he wants to play. I'm not sure if he's picked them up yet. The point being is that he doesn't bitch and complain about this shit either. You know what I'm saying? He still plays PUBG every once in a while. That's why the Triple Threat Challenge exists, to be honest with you. And he fluctuates between those things almost seamlessly. So how come he's figured that shit out? Maximilian has multiple fucking gameplay events going on or multiple games played, and it's not complicated. How is it that all these other people can get this shit done and he can't? And he doesn't even pull in a tenth of the views. I'm telling you, that's what happens when motherfuckers try to ice skate uphill.
Alright. Now on the flip side of that, if I choose to do a little bit of all of the games that I'm already playing, so those 4 games would be as follows: Elden Ring, Ghostwire Tokyo, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and Skyrim Anniversary Edition. Alright? I feel like the stream could basically...
And he rage quit Kirby. Rage quit Kirby. Holy shit. Oh, fun stuff. I'm telling you, man, sometimes going over these videos after the fact, they're hilarious. Holy shit. Look at that mug. Like, this right here should have been a prelim. Like, someone should have captured this. To be honest with you, right before Kirby had happened, or before he got to the point where he ended up rage quitting that bitch, and had put this face up there. This right here, this was foreshadowing, for sure.
Everyone. Because out of those 4 games, one of those likely is a playthrough that you're enjoying and you'd like to see me play. So it would basically give everyone a reason to tune into the marathon, because at some point I'm playing a game you want to see. You see what I'm saying? If I do the Game Pass stuff, very well there could be nothing there that people are interested in, and then a lot of people say, well, there's no reason to tune into Phil's marathon for his birthday. Oh well, I'll wait till he goes back to his regular stuff the next day. So if I do progress in the regular stuff, maybe that would bring more people to the stream, even if it's only for the segment that they care about. Maybe they only care about Elden Ring, right? But that's okay. In addition, I would feel better about playing a marathon that's the games I'm already playing, because now I know I'm making progress and it won't feel like I'm taking time.
I'm not sure if you guys caught that, but essentially what he wants to do is he wants to do the 4 current playthroughs, right? Because in the hopes that he can bring people in, essentially so he's not alone. Even if those people are only there to watch that playthrough for that 90 minutes, he's content with that instead of them being there for maybe half of the event or even all of the event. It's almost like a child pleading with another child to come to their birthday party, even if they're only there for the food and the cake and then they leave. As long as that person or those kids show up, they're content with that. That's actually kind of sad if you really think about it. That's actually I'm kind of just now realizing that that's kind of like a sad plea for not just attention, but just so he's not completely alone on his birthday. Damn.
From what I should be making progress in to do this event. So that's good in that regard. However, the double-edged sword with doing it this way is that basically some people might be like, what is different from your birthday stream day than another day? It's just progress in the games you're already playing. Does that necessarily feel special? Right? Well, I would counter that and say, well, the special thing about it is that it's a marathon. It's 4 games instead of 2. We're doing Feasting with the King, and I'm going to have a birthday cake celebration, as well. So it's not just the one. It's actually a lot of other things. You see what I'm saying? But I guarantee you, this is my idea.
So, yet again, we're going to go with quantity over quality. Okay, I guess. That's pretty much what he's saying. The reason he's trying to basically perpetuate it as it is special because I'm giving quote doing so much more, and that's what makes it special. It's really not though. Where's the quality of it? Like where's the actual value in all that? You playing 4 games that you're gonna fail at anyway doesn't mean much. Feasting with the King has been a joke since you started it, and And then the birthday cake thing is just another year of you eating the same cake that's going to probably taste like sandpaper. At least that's the way you look when you're doing it. And then instead of drinking it with milk, you're drinking it with water or vice versa. Ugh, it's all nasty either which way. And that's it. It's just going to be just a really light, lame, sad day all around.
I guarantee you what's going to happen is we're going to have people of differing sides and opinions over the next week all weighing in on this. Okay? Some people are going to say, do the stuff that you're already doing. Some are going to say, do the Game Pass. Some are going to completely disagree. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, all right? There's no way I'm only doing Elden Ring that day, because already I'm seeing some people suggest this in the stream chat. Just do a 6 to 7 hour marathon of Elden Ring.
No. All right? No. No. No, 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 no. Well, maybe no.
No, I'm not doing a 7+ hour marathon of just Elden Ring. All right? Listen, I like Elden Ring. I've played the living shit out of it in the last month. Oh, I'm at 70+ hours of gameplay. That playthrough will continue on likely all of April. Most people now are telling me if you actually take your time and do all the content, the game's 120 to 130 hours long. So I'm just over the halfway point, but now that I'm balancing Elden Ring with other playthroughs, it's going to take quite a long time to finish the game. That's okay. No, I'm not.
That right there, I think, is evidence that he purposely stretched that game out. Just because there's a 120, 130 hours worth of content in it doesn't necessarily mean it'll take you that long to actually play it. I think he purposely stretched. I think he purposely stretched it out like that. I think he does that with a lot of playthroughs. To be honest with you, why I have no clue. What makes there any value in any of that shit? He's not doing a complete completionist run. He's gonna do another run of it eventually. This one didn't have to be that. He didn't have to do every little goddamn thing in it. And any which way. If you go up there and look on YouTube for Elden Ring playthroughs or whatever, his doesn't come up like that. It's not even regarded. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got actual people on Twitch who actually go through and are watching people's playthroughs, right? I haven't seen his name come up. Well, I have seen it be mentioned, and they kind of looked at it, and then they just, went on with it. They didn't even say anything. They didn't even say anything. They just looked at the chat and then looked away. So, there's no moves to be made off of it. And it's because of how he has it structured, no one's gonna want to watch it. Like, he should have just did what Maximilian did, where he has these between 5 and 8 hour blocks, you know what I'm saying, actual videos of him going through it. It's so much easier to digest than to do what he's doing. But because he's greedy and stupid, that's why they don't catch no views. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're just sitting there vegetating like his wife.
Elden Ring all day long on my birthday. I would much prefer to do a variety of stuff than just Elden Ring, okay? So please understand that it's not an option on the table. If you ask for it, you're essentially wasting your time and just making yourself look like an asshole, because I'm not doing that, okay? Okay.
Makes you wonder, what's the point of taking suggestions if you're not going to actually, do anything? Not to say that you have to do everything that you're suggesting, that are suggested to you, or that is suggested to you, I should say. But to just sit there and say, if you suggest it, you're an asshole, and you're wasting your time, that doesn't inspire a whole lot of, I don't know, confidence in wanting to spend that day with your dumbass. That just kind of seems like a waste of fucking time. It sounds like, actually, that you're just trying to steer them to you continuing to play the same 4 games that you're already failing at, just so you can get more progress and hopefully make a lot of money for it, so it's worthwhile for you, and then that's it. Yet again, this goes back to something I said, I think, in another video. It's the illusion of choice. But you never really had one. He's always trying to steer the situation to where he has the advantage. There's always going to be something that he wants to do, something that he thinks you guys might be interested in, and then a third option. The third option will always be cut out, axed right away. The second option will literally be diminished and whatnot for all the different reasons why he can and cannot do it, and why it might not be successful, and why he tries to portray it in such a way that it's going to be more of a deficit to you than him. If you guys choose for him to do it, he'll do it. But here's the deficit for you guys if he does it. And then the actual first choice, which is what he always wanted, there's this. And this is what he thinks is going to be the best bet. There's never any real choice there. It was all just an illusion. It's always been that way.
Laura says, is this supposed to be a joke or scolding your audience? Neither. I'm trying to be as concise and clear as I can in my messaging. Because if I'm not, then people will say, well, Phil was very unclear. He said that there were 2 options for his birthday marathon, but what about Elden Ring all day? Well, if I don't say upright no, like I just did as clearly as I possibly can, there would literally be people asking for it every day and saying that they want it and they don't understand why I'm not listening. I've already taken it off the table. Okay? So the 2 options for Darkside Phil's 40th birthday bash marathon event is either a variety of Game Pass games that we will sit down one night and look at and pick out together on a late stream, or continuation in the 4 major games that I've already been playing, which is Elden Ring, Ghostwire Tokyo, Kirby, and Skyrim Anniversary.
And here's another thing too. Why does it need to be on a late stream? On a late stream to sit there and take 15 minutes to go through and see what the games have? Like, what are you trying to like inflate your numbers, or do you think that if you can pull more people to the night stream, more people will tip that night? So like it makes the tips like a bit more. It'll make the overall tips for the day seem a bit more, be a bit better, and maybe he'll be able to hold on to some of those people for the chill playthrough that night. Is that what he thinks he's doing? If no one's dumb enough to not see that, then you deserve to get conned. If that's what the situation is. Because that's clearly what it is. Because why wouldn't you do it on the day stream, where the majority of the people are going to be at anyway? Why would you feel a need to try to pull those people over to the night stream so they can look through and actually vote? That makes no sense. Unless you're trying to inflate something. Oh well. Semantics, I'm sure.
And alternating between them for the course of the day, probably about an hour and a half each. Okay? That is, excuse me, the 2 ideas. Alright? So please think about it. Please let me know what you think. Give me your opinion on which one you'd be leaning toward. Alright? And based on that, let's see where everyone's opinions are for the next week. And what I will do is probably in about a week's time, you know, will be about a few days before the event, I will announce exactly what the event is going to be. All right? Because, by the way, I need to figure that out. If we're going to have to do that night stream to pick Game Pass games, we need time to do it. Okay?
That feels a little better.
And instead of this disgusting piece of shit being like, hey, give me a second, so he can go into the bathroom and spit that out, you're going to cough it up just so you can swallow it again? I don't even know if Officer Sanders can actually, if she's actually capable of doing that, but god dog. And that's her job.
Start off today with Zoya, who did a super chat and says, at what point did you decide you didn't want any kids? I don't necessarily know if it was a concrete discussion or situation where it was like sitting down and saying, all right, it's time to talk about kids today. I think it was just kind of a determination over time. You know, I'm about to be 40 years old, and personally, I don't feel that I'm in a personal or financial situation where I would want any kids in my life. I don't know if I would be a good dad. I don't know if I would want to be a good dad. I'm in a point where like I'm a very.
If you don't think you wouldn't be a good dad, I can give you that. You don't know if you don't know if you would want to be a good dad. So what, is this like the Ethan Ralph thing where we're just having kids and abandoning them? Like, what does that mean exactly? I don't know if I want to be a good dad. You're barely a good person. You're not even barely. You're not a good person. Certainly. So I don't know what would make anybody think you'd be a good father anyway. Even though a lot of people do say that parenthood does have a habit of changing people, but it's not as high as people want to tell you. That's generally people just wanting to have the belief in human nature. And to be honest with you, can't always do that because more often than not, People will let you down. That's why you should never strive to meet your heroes. Yeah, that statement. I don't know. That statement doesn't hit me right. Let's go ahead and bring that one back real fast.
I'm in a personal or financial situation where I would want any kids in my life. I don't know if I would be a good dad. I don't know if I would want to be a good dad. I'm in a point where like I'm a very, very busy, hardworking professional. Look at how much time I
busy, hardworking professional. I think really what this is just like what I told you earlier on. He's too selfish. He just doesn't. He doesn't want to have kids because he doesn't want to put someone before himself. And like I said, if you don't want to have kids because you feel like you're just not responsible enough to have kids, you can't really handle children. Those are some pretty decent reasons. There's no point in bringing a child in the world that you can't financially take care of, or you feel like you're not mentally strong enough to do that. Kids are a lot, and a lot of people aren't willing or not able to commit, their lives to that. So I can kind of understand that. But for DSP though, it really just comes down to selfishness. It comes down to he doesn't want to see someone rise above him, even if it is his own child. To be honest with you, it's really what it is. I think he looks at how he treats his own parents and how much resentment that he holds against his own parents, and he doesn't want that to be given to him. And to be honest with you, it's possible that he's just like, one Phil Burnell is enough. And to be honest with you, I mean, if his mother had swallowed or if his father had pulled out, we wouldn't have had the problem in the first place. But that's neither here nor there and whatnot. He's proven certainly that he was a waste. He was an absolute fucking waste. He proves it. And everything that he touches turns to shit. And that's something that not everybody can say, to be honest with you. So maybe he can take some type of solace in that, but he's literally a waste. Which is ironic because this is someone who goes around and says that certain people are a waste of life and they'd be better off dead. I'm not saying that you're better off dead. I'm just saying nothing was gained or lost by you existing, to be honest with you. That's all I'm saying. Like, you didn't contribute anything in life, and yet you demanded so much from everybody else. There are a lot of people who don't really contribute anything in life, right? But they don't demand the world from other people. They don't try to become a hindrance on society and feel that society somehow owes them, right? There's you know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of people who just don't really do much and whatnot, but they don't hurt anybody. DSP literally sets back every person that ever comes in contact with him. It's just the nature of what he is. And that's from pay pig to detractor alike. Because there's been plenty of detractors who ain't slipped and whatnot over to the dark side with that shit, because it's very easy to get wrapped up in it. The general concept of, point and laugh is understandable, certainly, and it's something that we kind of all do. The thing is, though, is it comes back to the kind of the human conditioning in the fact that he's going to piss you off because you don't understand how someone could be this inept, how someone could literally be this ignorant. It doesn't make any sense. And then how he tries to justify that ignorance, and not even really just that. He basks in it. He wraps himself in that shit like it's a cloak. Like it's the flag of Goutopian shit. Like he's proud of it. He's a sociopath. And he's a sociopath in such a way that there's a level of freedom to it, right? Like he kind of lives life like he thinks there's no consequences, even though clearly there are. You know what I'm saying? But if he can wipe it out of his mind, even temporarily, he's okay with that. And that's a scary that's a scary way of looking at life, or looking at anything in general. And that's what gets people frustrated. So it's very, very easy to take this shit as all one just big ass joke and shit, and it's all for the shits and giggles and the funniness. And then you start getting into fucking gay ops. You start getting, when people don't agree with your ops or agree with what you're doing or whatever, you start turning against each other and shit like that. It's very easy for that stuff to happen. And I think you have people who will look back at it, if they're not doing it already, that are going to look back at what Fred Fucks did and what SOK did and somewhat be empathetic to what happened. I honestly think one day that may happen, if it's not happening already. Because there's clearly a lot of people who say, "Oh, I wish they were back," but they say it under the caveat that, "Oh, well, they were super entertaining or whatever." I don't agree with all the other shit, but they were super entertaining. I think you have some people who wish that they did come back just to quote unquote establish order, because there's a lot of people who don't like a lot of other people for whatever reason, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because the very people who don't like some of those other detractors for whatever reason, stop watching them. Just like how you go ahead and tell detractors, "Oh, well, if he pisses you off, and stop watching it." I mean, it's a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? Which that's silliness in itself, but yet again, it's something that Dark Side Phil perpetuates, and it's very easy for that hypocrisy to fall over to the other side. It's just something to think about.
To put into my streams in order to make ends meet. Now, can you imagine if I had a kid that I somehow needed to put into that equation? You know, and by the way, I'm not saying that there's not a way to do it. I'm saying that you probably have to be way more successful than me to do it. You know, I know for a fact there are big time streamers out there who have kids and they don't nearly make as much content as I do. They don't have to. They're more popular, so they make less content, they make more money, and then they have time to spend with their families outside of the content they make.
Actually, you said you were trying to look at the big picture. Let's actually do that for once instead of making assumptions like you normally do. Do you not realize, Phil, that those people don't have to rely on ad revenue or crowdfunding? Like, they actually have sponsorships. They've actually, like, established deals and shit. They actually invest their money. You ever thought about that? The concept of, you know, your money working for you? Things like that. It just goes to show what kind of fucking disconnect this guy has. But yet he runs around here saying that he has a business degree and he understands how business works. Just because you've been around for a long time doesn't make you successful. Sorry, but it don't. It really don't. And that's what it comes down to. He has no clue how money works. He really doesn't. He doesn't have not a fucking understanding about anything. Because if he did, why can't he exercise that? Why is it that this idiot has a business degree and he can't actually utilize it for anything? How is that a thing? I want someone to try to answer that. How is it that he wasn't able to utilize it? All this money that came through, all these business opportunities, all these situations, right? That kind of sort of falls into line with what his background is, and he fumbled it at every turn. How did that happen?
Would a time be for that? Right now, and I've said this many times to you guys, I get 1 day a week to spend with my family. A single day. That's it. 1 day a week. So just think about this. 52 weeks in the year. I get to spend 52 days a year with my family. The rest of the time, I'm in this office streaming all day, every day, with a few hours a day to spend with my wife and my cat.
That's a failure on your part. If it wasn't for his addictions, yet again, his spending addiction, his gambling, his gambling, his drinking, he would be able to, he could sustain a family just fine. He doesn't have a family. He just has a wife and a cat. But he'd be able to sustain a family just fine. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to have to give up his vices to essentially take care of someone else. If he was man enough to just say that, people would respect him more for it. Not him owning up to his vices because he's a bitch. Eventually that stuff will all come out anyway. But if he was literally saying, "Hey, I enjoy what I do and I don't really want or feel the need to do that," it is what it is. I mean, he's a worthless individual anyway, so it's not like him spawning a child is going to help. It's going to help anything anyway. You know what I'm saying? The uphill battle that a Phil Burnell Jr. would have, I don't envy that. I don't envy that child. That would be... Just imagine, for just a second, chat. Just imagine you going to school, right? You go on YouTube, and you hear, if YouTube still exists at that time, by the way, and you hear... I'm sorry. Give me a second. Just imagine you being on YouTube, or let's not even say YouTube. Just imagine you're on whatever, video sharing site at the time, and someone pulls up a SnortBucks video, like a vintage SnortBucks video, or an old school David Davison video, or an Aqua Teal video, or someone pulls up like a Ravens Dolphins stream and shit, and people look over at that, look at that shit, look over at you, look at that shit, and be like, "Oh shit, is that your dad?" How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? Kids can be cruel. So you know how fast something like that would spread? And then, if people archive in the future the way people archive now, at least some stuff, because the Amberlin community don't really archive too well. They're better at it now, but they're not that great at it. If they archive well, the jerk off video, the video with Panda talking about why don't you just give her a pill and leave her there, the bitching about Pro Jared, I can keep going on. Those videos come out, they're gonna look at you all kinds. They're gonna look at that child all kinds of crazy, and the ridicule is gonna come in pretty fucking fast. The shower video. How do you explain shit like that? Why should your child be put in a position to explain that shit? And that honestly is just the more outward way of looking about it. If they got covert with that shit, and they start spreading that shit amongst their friends and whatnot, and you don't really hear nothing about it, and all this shit's getting spread up around you, who knows how that shit's gonna blow up in your face later on. It's literally gonna be a powder keg. That shit's gonna be a problem. And if you're Dark Side Phil, I want you to think about this for a minute. If you're Dark Side Phil, you don't want to deal with that shit. You don't care if your kid comes home fucking crying or beaten up or whatever the case may be because of some dumb shit that you did on the internet 10 years ago, because I would assume by then he'd still be on the internet. He's not going to want to deal with that shit. He's going to be like, oh, that's not my problem. He's not going to want to handle that. He's ill-equipped to handle it for himself right now. How's he going to do it for someone else? Let me give you a great example. Excuse me. When Catherine was in the process of moving from Michigan over to Washington State, into the Wakanda, or the Snort Fort, he had said in a pre-stream that he didn't want any information about her getting out. He didn't want her getting exposed, because if she gets trolled before she gets to the Snort Fort in Washington, it could be really, really bad. It could really, really jeopardize what he has going on. But if she gets there and the trolling continues to persist, or it starts, or whatever the case may be, it wouldn't matter, because at least they'd be there together to deal with it. Now let me give you the piggy translation. If she's getting trolled before she moves in with Phil, it would probably fuck everything up, and she may not want to move in with him because she sees what kind of bullshit she would have to deal with, and she may feel that it's not worth it, which is going to fuck things up for him, because he really needed Catherine to come out there and take care of him. Once she's in the Snort Fort, though, that bitch is trapped. She has nowhere else to go. What's she going to do? Go back to Michigan? She can't. She doesn't have the money to. You know what I'm saying? He was the one who paid for her to get out there and move her shit out there in the first place. Sorry. So she's trapped, essentially. So now she has to deal with whatever she has to deal with, but he can say to her, don't worry, honey, we're here together. You know what I'm saying? We can deal with this together. But then we all know that's bullshit, because if you fast forward to Halloween of 2018, it's Tevin's fault. And then all the nonsense that entailed. I think it was 2018. It was either 2018 or 2019. I'm pretty sure it was 2018 when the Halloween marathon happened. But it could have been 2019. But I'm pretty sure it's 2018. But so then you get that. You saw how that shit did. She was despondent. She supposedly stomped out of the house in a fit of rage, and Phil said it was Tevin's fault. It was bullshit, and that it was gonna come back on him. You know what I'm saying? What you do is eventually going to come back to you, because you're playing with my life, and you're fucking around, and you're sending these trolls out here to fucking embarrass my wife and the fuck up my event, and I'm not going to let it happen anymore. You guys remember all that?
That's it. So can you imagine now trying to have a kid? How the hell would that work exactly? All right. Now in particular, in regards to the big picture, at this point in my life, I don't want a kid. at all. All right. Now, I'm not. The thing is, things always change in life, right? Maybe at some point in my life, later in my life, that attitude would change. As of right now, I have absolutely no desire whatsoever to be a father. Zero. Really, like nothing. And some people say, well, don't you want to pass down your family line? Don't you want to? I don't care. I don't. Guys.
Yeah, take that in. Take that in. Because that's what I'm actually waiting. That's what I was actually waiting for. Because he don't give a shit. He lives only for himself. He lives only for himself. And yet again, it goes back to he's too scared that if that child is going to be too needy or just more successful than he is. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't give a rat's ass about his family name, to be honest with you. He doesn't give a shit. And that's why he keeps hanging on to this whole, oh, I got this legacy on YouTube. Like, YouTube's going to be around for fucking ever. And if YouTube goes down, detractor content will be put somewhere else, and that will be his legacy. He'll never be able to stop that. He'll never be able to beat it. Even if he was able to upload even a fraction of his own original content, it wouldn't matter. It'd be YouTube all over again. It would get drowned out. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. What happens when you're fucking when you're essentially he's a chronic liar. So nothing that he has is worth any value anyway because it's not true. And he doesn't really care as long as he can get over. The man doesn't even give a shit. Not to sound like Ethan Ralph for a minute here, but the man don't even care about his daddy name. Couldn't be me. Good shit, Ethan. It couldn't be me. Holy shit. That was funny when he said that.
It's always change in life, right? Maybe at some point in my life, later in my life, that attitude would change. As of right now, I have absolutely no desire whatsoever to be a father. Zero. Really, like nothing. And some people say, well, don't you want to pass down your family line? Don't you want to? I don't care. I don't. Guys, I got like 78,000 videos on YouTube of me sharing my life and my personality with all of you on the internet. You know, and I'm not saying you're all my kids because that's kind of creepy. But you know what I'm saying? Like, my legacy is already out there to be shared with the world. I don't need to imbue that into a person.
Holy fuck. So you equated... Holy crap, I almost lost my shit. Sorry about that. You equate... You equate some digital shit that could be wiped off the internet at any given fucking time to having a living, breathing person who can also one day will be able to procreate and have children of their own. You value 80,000 videos over a child who will grow up and hopefully have children of their own, which will also, they will grow up and eventually have the children of their own. You would equate 80,000 videos over that. That is... That's fucking wild, bruh. I wasn't expecting that. I need to hear that again. I need to hear that again. That's something.
You on the internet, you know, and I'm not saying you're all my kids because
that'll work.
Don't you want to? I don't care. I don't. Guys, I got like 78,000 videos on YouTube of me sharing my life and my personality with all of you. All right. Now, I'm not. The thing is, things always change in life, right? Maybe at some point in my life, later in my life, that attitude would change. As of right now, I have absolutely no desire whatsoever to be a father. Zero. Really, like nothing. And some people say, well, don't you want to pass down your family line? Don't you want to? I don't care. I don't. Guys, I got like 78,000 videos on YouTube of me sharing my life and my personality with all of you on the internet. You know, and I'm not saying you're all my kids because that's kind of creepy. But you know what I'm saying? Like, my legacy is already out there to be shared with the world. I don't need to imbue that into a person. I've been so sharing of me and who I am and my thought process and my gaming skill and all of that, all the laughs, right, over the years. Why the hell do I need a person to put that into? I've been here with you guys every day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
holy shit. Dude, you might as well go ahead and be Chris Chan and just fucking put your own jizz in fucking soda and drink that shit at this point. Holy fuck, bruh. That's That's... I don't even have a word for... I don't know if I even have... I'm kind of speechless. I'm not speechless. Fuck that. But I don't know if I can process that. That you would equate videos to have more value than you actually having a child. That's... And then you're low-key saying that, hey, all you guys are my kids. And he tried to sit there and put the caveat in that, oh, no, I'm not actually trying to say that because that's kind of creepy, but, you know, that's kind of what you're saying. That, oh, my God. No wonder they're all losers. That makes sense. Because I swear to God, Derek, especially fucking Derek, and I know there's some type of, I don't know if people have some type of affinity for that dude or whatever the fuck and whatnot, and hopefully he doesn't turn out like this. But Jesus Christ, the first woman he sleeps with, he's going to be obsessed with that chick. And he comes across, if he don't shape the fuck up, he's going to be the type of dude that's going to end up skinning her and wearing her when he gets rejected. You guys might want to consider that. I understand it's supposed to be all shits and giggles and joking or whatever, but that dude has a real fucking problem. Just saying. You might just want to think about that. I understand that people like to think of him fondly, but... It puts the lotion on the skin. It does it whenever it's towed. So consider that. Wow. That's fucking hey, man. Holy shit. You were just better off saying, hey, you're not interested in having kids and that's it. To sit there and try to equate that to having to say that having 70, 80,000 videos is greater than having children is... Oh, man. It goes back to that Kobe Bryant dying and losing fucking a save file in a game type shit. Oh, my God. He's just full of bad takes.
It's a very different situation for me than most people. I've been here with you guys every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very different situation for me than most people. Yeah, if you didn't have a monstrous online presence and you weren't as honest and upfront about shit, like if you were a character online, then there's no fucking meaning to that. You're just making a paycheck. But I'm here to be me with you guys every day. You know, you see the real me and you understand that and you get that, okay? That's passing me on to the world. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, no one knows Phil Burnell outside of his personal life, so you have to have a kid who you can imbue all these morals and values and ideas into, and that kid can go on and be a productive member of society. I've been making videos for 13 fucking years. Already, there's been enough influence of Phil Burnell on this planet. You know what I'm saying? More than enough. Probably an undue amount of Phil Burnell influence on planet Earth. I don't think we need any extra. All right? Now, some people are saying, what about your wife? What about her? That's her own personal decision, her own personal life.
Shit! What about my wife? What about her? Oh my God. Okay, okay, first things first. Excuse me. Oh. I had some SnortBucks delivered. Thank God, too, because I could really use some tea right now. Oh my God. Okay, so fucking A. Fucking A. Okay, so one, and I'm pretty sure most of you know this. If any of you have ever spoken to someone who doesn't know who Darkside Phil is, or even a group of people who don't know who Darkside Phil is, and you've had to explain it to someone, you know how fundamentally flawed his statement is. Phil, you fall into a very, very small fucking niche audience. You really, really do. You're just because you have one of the biggest subforums on Kiwi farms, for example, and shit, and you're definitely notorious. Don't get it twisted. You're infamous, most certainly. It doesn't mean that you're fucking a phenomenon like that. Is there a lot of people in the gaming sphere who know of him and his quirky shit? Absolutely. Most of them don't ever call his name out because they don't want to bring no attention to him. They don't feel a need to. In the FGC, they all but want to just kind of have him fade from memory. They don't want to have to give any attention to that, and that's understandable. What else does he really have? Nothing else. Darkside Phil, DSP, falls into a very, very small niche type of audience. Just like any lolcow, really. The only locale you could actually say who actually has real recognition is Christian. DSP's not there, and DSP more than likely won't live long enough to make it there. Shit, the way Ethan Ralph is going right now, first off, they definitely need to pass the King of Hate moniker onto him, and the crown, and everything else that goes with it. But Jesus Christ, even Ethan Ralph is making his rounds in a shorter amount of time, and is getting way more notoriety on a much larger scale. DSP is just is a niche audience type thing. That's all he is. He's for a niche group of people, if you will. He is not widespread. It's none of that bullshit. If YouTube goes down tomorrow, he is fucked. He is royally fucked. His legacy, I would say, out of those 80,000, maybe 20,000 of those videos are salvageable on whatever fucking hard drives he has, and that's pretty much ripped to that. You're a joke. You're a joke for saying that. It feeds back into what I said about you're too selfish and you don't want to be upstaged and whatnot, and you're really betting all your porky chips or pork grinds, if you will, on the fact that, you know, you're gonna this legacy of yours is gonna stand far after you're gone, and it won't, not at least not in the way that you think it will. No, it's just not gonna, it's not gonna work out like that. Holy shit. It's not going to work out like that. But even more egregious than that, the fact that you went ahead and just discarded Catherine. Now, keep in mind, I won't go into it completely. If you know about Catherine's past, you know. If not, if you don't know, it's because you don't care to know, and that's fine. But there are places you can look up, and there's other people you can talk to learn about if you'd like. But that shit is dark and disturbing as fuck. So I can understand that if she didn't want to have kids, but for you to essentially take that from her and say, hey, I don't want to have kids, yada, yada, yada. Oh, what about your wife? What about that bitch? Fuck her. He didn't say that, but you know what I mean. That should tell you something about him fundamentally. That should tell you what he thinks about people. He just came off off his fucking soapbox, harping about how he'd like to spend more time with his family and how much he values them and shit. He don't value none of them. They're all just a means to an end. He don't give a shit about shit. And the fact that he sat there and completely X'd her out of the conversation, he X'd her out of it because, one, he's the center of attention. He is the point of conversation, if you will, not her. So he's kind of irritated that she was even interjected into that. That's the first thing. But secondly, the fact that he was like, he didn't want to, him not wanting to have kids with Catherine falls in line with him not wanting to marry Panda. He did it because he had to. If he had married Panda when he could have, she probably would have still stuck around. If Catherine leaves, she'll leave either A, because she has better prospects, or B, because she wants to get out. She wants to get out early enough to where she can still have a child on her own, or well, with someone else. But you know what I mean? Like, she'll still be able to have a child. It'll be one of those two prospects. She'll either have a better opportunity with someone else, and if she can get a kid out of the situation before she gets too far up in age. End of story. This ass clown is never going to be husband material. He never was, and he'll never be father material. He's barely a person, let alone the other two aspects that I've already named. And the fact that he would just dismiss her presence in this marriage, in that type of decision, should be telling. Holy shit.
Values and ideas into, and that kid can go on and be a productive member of society. I've been making videos for 13 fucking years. Already, there's been enough influence of Phil Burnell on this planet. You know what I'm saying? More than enough. Probably an undue amount of Phil Burnell influence on planet Earth. I don't think we need any extra. All right? Now, some people are saying, what about your wife? What about her? That's her own personal decision, her own personal life, and I'm not here to talk about my wife. I'm sure she has her own reasons and opinions on why, she doesn't want to have a kid, and that's none of your business. It's not your business to ask me about personal shit about my wife. So please don't. You have to understand there's a line you don't cross, And you want to ask me about my personal rationale and stuff on my own stream, that's one thing. This is not my wife's stream, it's mine. Don't ask about her personal opinions and things on my stream. It's none of your business. Okay? Okay.
It's none of their business, but yet they have to bankroll the lifestyle, though, right? They have to pay for the trip. They have to pay for the honeymoon. They have to pay for the upgrades. They have to pay for the groceries. They have to pay for the eating out and everything. Not like that. But they have to pay for so they could go and eat out. But don't ask about anything as it pertains to whether we want to have children or anything like that. That's crossing the line. Pay for the lifestyle, but don't worry about how the lifestyle is actually lived. Yikes.
Money, yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. These contributions are mandatory. Money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Money, money. Yeah, yeah. Money, money. Oh, money, money. Yeah, yeah. These contributions are mandatory.
Okay, I've seen enough clown mode, I think. Holy shit. Big ups to Hate Army Watch for that. Oh wow. That was something. That was something. I wasn't necessarily ready for that. I gotta say. Alright, give me a minute to settle up here and what I'll reconvene for final thoughts and whoo shit. I was not ready for that one. Holy fuck, bro. Oh, even when it's kind of expected, you're still not ready for it when it happens. See you guys in a second. Alrighty. Okay, so holy shit. Alright. Holy shit. Yet again, big ups to Hate Army Watch. The link will be down in the description. Big ups to Chio18, who has made our Gout Rushmore there. And thank you so very much. And let's close this out. Holy fuck, bruh. Holy fuck. I mean, we've kind of gone over the midlife crisis thing, which in actuality, you kind of actually got to see him go through some of the stages of it. So that's kind of funny in itself, depending on how you want to look at it. Not passing on his genes and thinking that 80,000 videos on YouTube, in one place on YouTube that can easily be shut down at any given time, or it could be converted, or they do a purge, or whatever, whatever case may be. Oh my god, dude. That's fucking amazing. If he just said, I'm not interested in having children, you could live with that. To say that him having 80,000 videos are greater than having a child is something completely fucking different. Absolute fucking yipes. Absolute fucking yipes. Or yikes. Whoa, fucking A, bro. That's fucking crazy. Holy shit. Oh my god, that's crazy. Fucking yikes. I don't know if I have really anything else to say. That's just fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. Jesus Christ, talk about being in love with yourself. Like, I'm telling you, Catherine is just there. She has a purpose that she serves, which is to serve, and that's it. He doesn't love that chick. He does not give any fucks about that chick whatsoever. And in a lot of ways, he's kind of just wasting her time. He's kind of just like how he's kind of biding his time for his parents to pass away so he can get his inheritance, he's kind of just wasting Catherine's time too, if you think about it. It's a fucked up way of thinking about it, but he's kind of just wasting her time too. He's just letting her clock tick down to the point where, okay, well, you know, it's probably too late to have children now, so I'm just really kind of stuck. Then again, she's not a prisoner there. She can choose to leave if she wants to, so make of that what you will, but holy shit, bro. That was, that's something. That's something. That's all I can say. That shit is something. Woo, shit. You got to be, Phil's always looked at himself as a unique individual. You got to be fucking unique to think like that. I got to say. All right. Thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Holy shit. Let me drink this SnortBucks tea and whatnot. And, like I said, take care of yourselves, guys, and just food for thought. Just, you know, just think about some of the stuff that was discussed today, and just don't think about it too hard. But Jesus Christ, it opens things up for sure. Take care of yourselves, guys. Later.